Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
All right, welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We are live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Studios. Go to samtripoli.gold, use the promo code TINFOIL, and you too can get in on the Precious Metals game for as little as $50 a month. Buy it now. Very excited to have these guys on. Who knows what we're going to talk about? We'll get into our Bohemian Grove and all that stuff. They have one of the best podcasts in the game. I call them the Legion of Skanks of Conspiracies. They just zero fucks. They go hard in the paint. From the Nephilim Death Squad, please welcome Top Lobsta and Raven. I love it. Does everyone have to be an animal?
Liar, dude.
Does everyone have to be an animal?
Yeah, dude, that's a prerequisite. Actually.
Okay.
You can't be part of the squad unless you're an animal. We'll give you an animal.
Who's the
Maybe by
third
the end
guy?
of the show.
Clint, we'll call him Chimpanzee. Chimpanzee, Top Lobsta. What?
Wild. You started the show off with a bull-faced lie.
What?
Call us the fucking Legion of Skanks of Conspiracy. That's a wild.
I'll
wow,
fucking allow it, dude. I will
Why?
allow
What is wrong with that? That was the biggest compliment I could give anybody.
That was
yeah,
nice.
It's too much. It's too much working. Like
It's
working
fearless.
with
You
those
guys are fearless.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just
You got to
working,
learn to
like,
take a compliment, dude. I'm erect.
Yeah. We love to give rock hard to
I
you, dog.
idolize these guys like Louis J. Gomez. I don't really idolize anybody. That dude, I guess maybe because he's Puerto Rican like me. I don't know.
He's
So it's
the
just
Vince
weird.
McMahon of podcasting.
It's funny how it's another animal, the rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Puerto Rican rattlesnake.
Yeah, that's right. There's
Maybe
there's
that's
an
what you're
animal kindred
doing.
spirit.
You're going wrong. You guys got to get animal names. Fuck that.
I was
it.
Fat Dragon for a while.
Yeah, you were. We
Fat
got
Dragon's a banger.
neon light over here that says Fat Dragon.
Fat Dragon. I don't know why it just didn't. I just gave up on it because it was hard to go on a show going, and we're with Fat Dragon.
Isn't Fat Dragon the? Fat
Dragon is the shit.
Throw my shell. No, David. You don't know what that is?
No, I don't know what Fat Dragon is. But
Oh,
I
please
like
tell me what it is, because I don't. it was based off one of my kids' toys.
No, a Fat Dragon.
What's a Fat Dragon, dog?
Like a Blumpkin or
dragon.
something? What is this?
No, dog. It's fucking look it up. It's like
It's a big
dildo.
fat uncircumcised
Oh, no.
penis.
It's like an octopus dildo that's like huge. It's just a huge dildo.
Oh, and they're
Yeah.
like in crazy colors. Like,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen the chicks with those.
And this
They
is
look
the
like
whole
a
thing. There's
2-liter
women
bottle of
whose
soda.
whole thing is
yes, yeah.
they're not even that hot. They'll be like, I'll shove this inanimate object into my god hole.
That's
And that's what they do. And
So
it's just,
It's disgusting.
it's just, everyone's trying to make it, dude. And it's just like, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck
Well,
on
now the
that.
bar's been raised. You got to bang like 1,000 dudes.
She
in
just
2
got
days.
arrested.
Did you see
Did you
that
see
recently?
that?
She got
Like a new chick
arrested?
came
I don't
out?
even know what they arrested her
What are you
for.
arrested for?
Who got arrested?
Bonnie Blue just got arrested. It looks like England.
Oh, poor dear.
She got arrested. I don't know what they arrested for. You know, I've talked about this all the time, how comedians and porn stars have the exact same business model, that porn stars have kind of watched comedians and totally copied it. Like, we have podcasts, they have webcams, we have premium content, they have OnlyFans. We tour and we headline comedy clubs. They now call it headlining a strip bar. They're headlining.
Really? That's great.
It's the exact same. We put out a special. They do a porno. Like, it's the exact same business
Only
model.
one thing: are they good at merch? Because you comics kill it. At
Here's
merch.
the thing about adult film stars: the only successful ones that have long careers are the ones who get like a red band. Like, they have that boyfriend who's just into it,
Oh, okay, I get you.
and they don't look healthy, right?
I've seen some merch though where it's like chicks are selling pocket pussies that are modeled after their
Oh,
They're
fleshlights.
also
Yeah,
selling
yeah.
candles that smell like their asshole, which
The problem with male sex toys are that they'll never be able to compete with the hand.
I thought you were going to say never can clean them out.
That's the problem.
That probably is it too.
you clean out your sex toys. The fuck?
What do you
Hey,
just
Sam,
keep
let me-
buying
let me-
fleshlights?
Disposable
Let
ones.
me ask you something, Sam. because the idea of comedy has been on my mind a lot, and like comedy and culture, and what is comedy, what is stand-up comedy.
I'm asking myself that constantly.
Oh yeah, because it's like it's in a weird flux. I feel like now where I'm like I enjoy a lot of people in stand-up, but I don't understand exactly what comedy is. Like what? So our friend Toad just got fired.
Oh, I love that song that he did.
Yeah, so he covered the Kanye West song, and you know, knowing Toad, we know what it is. We do a comedy show. We dabble in this this idea of I don't even know what to call what we do. We're like,
it's like crossing the line constantly.
You guys love to press it. You guys are you guys press it. You put your head down and you run straight. You guys are juggernauts. You just lower your head and run as fast as you can into the wall, and you see what kind of damage you
Isn't
can
that
do.
the job of the comedian? Like the comedian is the jester.
Brother.
So the jester's job is to speak to, like, he's the only guy that can talk to the king and not get his head cut off. And he's allowed to tell the king the truth because he's making him laugh. But there's not much of that going on. And now I'm looking at this fucking retard autist software engineer do it, and it's going viral because it's like people either get it or they hate it. But that's the kind of the point of comedy, right? Or am I missing something? Am I like...
No,
don't
you're
know.
right, and I've been yelling it to the hills, at hilltops. Like I am excommunicated basically from comedy because I go into these comedy clubs and I'm just following conformity. And when you have an off thought, people get quiet and angry because everyone's job in LA is reliant on green lights. They have to have a million green lights to work in whatever capacity they want to work, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera. And if you get one red light from some piece of shit that doesn't like what you're saying, you never work. So they have to conform. And it's just like everything. Outlaws create something, right? Again, we can say comedy and porn, exactly the same. Outlaws create something because it's the only thing they can do. You can even throw MMA into this. This might be why the UFC is suffering. I don't know why the UFC is suffering, but this could be it, in that outlaws create something. They do it because it's the only thing they could do. And then it starts making money and corporations come in and completely sterilize it. And then rich kids start doing it. And then rich kids just want to conform. That's all they want to do. They were on the principals list. Which is just, you're the best conformer in your class. That's all the principals list is can you regurgitate what the teacher told you, and if you're the best at it, we give you an award. So then they grow up. They probably had parents, and I'm not judging anybody, but they probably had parents that were such like successful people that they probably didn't show a lot of attention to them growing up, and now they just want to show mommy and daddy that they were great, and they just do conformity. They just conform to the official narrative. And I see all these comedians right now talking about complaining that Twitter's too toxic and anti-Semitism here and anti-Semitism here, and they have no clue what they're co-signing on, which is this march to martial law. And they don't care because we live in a world right now where feelings are more important than facts. And they just, like we just did an episode with Tim James dropping bombs on viruses and snake venom, and 99% of the people couldn't have that conversation. They would just shut off. So to answer your question, conformity has destroyed comedy. The LA comedy scene no longer pushes culture.
It's hilarious to me because it feels like old school comics like Kinnison and shit would have loved Twitter because it's this dumpster fire that you can draw endless amounts of material from. I mean, I feel like
so
it's the comedian's
important.
job to observe the culture and then regurgitate it in a hilarious way and present it to people. But instead, we have comedians saying, "What, X is too toxic?" Like, when did they become pussies?
And now Blue Sky is just completely crashed because they're over there and they're like, "Oh, we're not getting any fights with anybody. Like, we're all just agreeing over here." And now they're like, this isn't fun. And they're all running back to Twitter because that is the marketplace of ideas. You have an idea, you present it in a tweet, and then rumble, young man, rumble. And that's how it kind of goes. And then most of the hate is ascertained through these bots that are just there to fight with people. Oh, I'm fighting with Bluebird 5578910, and it's just some random picture, and it's just a bot. They zombify old accounts that don't go anymore.
Let me tell you something, man, because this is we didn't come here to talk about this, but this is old hat stuff from between Eliza Blue. You remember Eliza Blue and Shane Cashman?
Yeah.
These guys. There was some controversy about Eliza Blue. She lied. She was wrong. She lied about something. I don't even remember the details.
She said she was getting sex trafficked when she was begging to be in these music videos. Like she wanted to be a hoochie. And then when she started to get tractions on sex trafficking, she completely changed her narrative. And she's like, oh, I was sex trafficked.
Is that the woman we had on the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
She's incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's again,
Little off
why
beat.
feminists are dangerous people. They're not even the good dangerous retards, they're the bad dangerous retards.
Shapeshifters.
And they just lie to the next generation because it's all about misery loves company. So you keep telling women you shouldn't have kids, you shouldn't be a wife, you shouldn't do this. And then they all just get to 50, the phone stops ringing, they're drinking box wine, they have 14 cats, but they will never tell that to anybody because then they're alone. They want more miserable people with them.
Shout out Chelsea Handler.
So the thing with Eliza Blue was a lot of that, and that was like an interesting part, but it was just surface level stuff. What Shane Cashman touched on, and he's a fucking genius, this guy.
Oh, his tweets are the best.
Yeah, he's gonna
He could be a
Bohemian
comic,
Grove,
I told him that.
he pointed out that there was an actual gang stalking effort going on underneath all of this. And I took a step back because I'm not going to react to what Tim Pool is getting mad at or what this side of Twitter is getting mad at with Eliza Blue. It's like, it doesn't really matter. I think that her work, whether it was like, you know, she was lying or not, she did decent work. She was trying to get people not trafficked, whatever. Yeah. Oh, but the reality is that there was a concerted effort online for bots to come stir up a narrative against her, and they got like normal people that I've met in real life at like Tom Woods 2000 event and other libertarian events. These people like are real people, but they got stirred up into this. So you've got like 1,000 bots, 100 people, and you know, multiply that by 50. It was a small psyop experiment on Eliza Blue, and they turned everybody on Eliza Blue. These people were getting like insane traction, thousands of likes. This was before they were even getting paid. Elon wasn't involved, and all of a sudden, like a fucking switch turned off. And the people, like some of them even DM me. They're like, I can't even get 5 likes on my shit. It's like back to how it was before Eliza Blue. And I was like, what just happened here? Like the government turned on bots just to see if they could or something like that.
It felt like a dry run for social engineering.
It was a dry run for what happens now. They killed Eliza. They didn't, kill her, but like 250,000 followers, and she can't get over 50 likes anymore. They completely nuked her algorithm just kind of to see if they could. And then it stopped all at once. And I was left looking from like a third party perspective, like, what the fuck just happened here? It was insane. And now we kind of see that rolled out and it's happening all over the place. But that was the first time I've actually seen it successfully done. And only Shane Cashman picked up on it. And he was writing articles. And of course, they're saying you're a hack, you're this and that. You're not criticizing Eliza Blue accurately, but he had his eye on the correct prize, in my opinion, the thing that's going to affect us a little bit later down the road. And here we are looking at the same issue, but like magnified.
So when Elon Musk went to Auschwitz, right? I do believe part of the conversation was you can't get rid of these bots because they astroturf our narrative. They are our side of the argument. So you have humanity. And I had to put out this video, but I did it in premium content, which is that we are seeing a war between humanity and the Babylonian bankers. And we're going to find out who's stronger and who's going to win in the long run. And these Babylonian bankers aren't on the side of logic or right or love. So they need these bots to astroturf this war of words that, just like what Tim James was talking about, is just raising everybody's anxiety and fear, which makes them sick and scared. When you have somebody in a high anxiety state, they're way easier to manipulate.
Yeah, it's wild because you're right. Like the conversation is happening on Twitter. That's where everything else is kind of downstream. The culture and the conversation is happening there. But while we're in it, you can feel that it's being directed one way or another. It's like, as much as it's the closest thing we have to a free speech platform, I'm also watching, like the Jew noticing get co-opted and engineered and pushed, or like the racial tensions get co-opted and pushed, to the nth degree. And you can feel that happening. I do think that it's pretty obvious. You have this powerful cultural manufacturing machine. Why the hell wouldn't they co-opt it? Why wouldn't they want to bend it to serve their agenda? And I just don't think that Elon Musk is like this big hero that's going to free us from the shackles of the people who would have us, submit to compelled speech.
It feels like there's like that push and pull, but it's intentional. Like, my tweet with Elon Musk, he kind of pushed it was an anti-Semitic joke. I made a adrenochrome hating the Jays with Mel Gibson and Joe Biden. He boosted it. Articles written about it, and then he took it back. He deleted his article, apologized, but it was too late. It was already moving. And then you get the Kanye West thing, and he's posting the Raelian logo, which is the swastika inside of the Star of David. And that's a step too far. You could post, black porn, but when you post that, he got kicked off of Twitter.
Yeah, but what's weird about that, dude, is that he was actually part of like this weird, like transhumanism group that is their logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the weird part about that.
The Raelian thing rubs me the wrong way. It's like it's sort of off topic from what we wanted to talk about here, but it's all on
Welcome
topic.
to the Tinfoil Hat.
Well, I love it. It's
the same thing. It's the exact same thing at Nephilim Death Squad.
I'll tell you the truth, man. Now that we create content like all the time, it's hard to listen to shows. Your show is the only one yours and Tony Merkel's the only one I listen to.
Same thing with stand-up comedy. I can't listen to it. I can't do it. But going back, Twitter, all this stuff, this is all anxiety deliverance machines. That's all it's there for, is to tell you stories that you should never have actually naturally heard. Yeah. That's what it's about.
You want to talk about anxiety? Our boy Toad is in the throes of anxiety with this whole situation. And it's really fascinating because Top touched on it before. You either love it or you hate it. But I don't understand the people that hate it, because some of the people that hate it are people that would typically be pushing back against this cancel culture that we've been submitted to for the past 10 years. And they're looking at it as like a grift, because what he's done is he's launched a GoFundMe because he lost his job of 10 years for singing Kanye West's Heil Hitler. And the thing that's crazy about it is, instead of looking at it as a grift, he's not coming out that way and saying, woe is me. He's actually saying in the video, if you watch Toad talk about this, it's an opportunity to stick the middle finger up to the culture of thousands of anonymous accounts doxing you, calling your place of work, and getting you fucking fired. We have this opportunity. This little pudgy man with a ukulele is standing up against this fucking mob, and he's saying, no, I don't care that I lost my job. I'm not going to stop posting about this. I'm not going to stop talking about this. And for some reason, people are finding every reason they can to push back against him. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I thought we were kind of, especially on Twitter, all on the same page of we're done with that. We're done with strangers threatening your livelihood.
No. There's a theory out there pushed by me that it was Top Lobster that got him fired, so he'd have to move to Florida.
We've been trying to. I'll tell you the truth, man. We joke around on Tower Gang a lot. We're like, yo, just quit because he's miserable. He was miserable at this job. He's always talking about suicide, and it's kind of a running joke, but he's not happy. He had a fucking seizure there. He's sitting in front of a computer for 9 hours a day. Some of his coworkers have had seizures. It's not a good spot. So we told him yo, you have money, get up out of there, go move. And this actually just happened. And it's to the point where people are like, did you guys set this up? Is this a lie? It's like, no, we didn't set this up. It's not a lie. It's also not surprising that he got fired for this, because he did the Roman salute at the end of all this. But I think the big story here is that he's an autistic guy. He's just I don't even think he really notices how much he crosses the line with what he's doing. And
we're not saying autistic in the fashionable sense. I don't think anybody's pushing it back. If you just look at him, you go, oh yeah, certainly the spectrum, he's on it.
No, I'm with you guys. And my biggest thing, because I feel, maybe it's in my head, but I feel there's a lot of people that aren't happy. I know some owners of comedy clubs have been whispering, what the fuck is Tripoli talking about? And it just gets into this thing that, to me, this is the natural result of a narrative that has been pushed for 10 years about white people, white men, and Christians. And I'll even throw Muslims in there. When you look at the 9/11 and the narrative that was pushed, we had no problem with killing 4 million Iraqis. That precedent has been set, and this is the natural course of it. And that's my whole thing. It's this is why political correctness is bullshit, is because you're trying to say we need to show love to everybody while simultaneously not only allowing, but promoting and endorsing and rewarding people who push back on a particular demographic, which is white Christians. I'm sorry, dude. There's that famous meme that shows you all the white fertility, you know, like the all sensitive white people. Oh, they're and it's all, I hate to say it, guys, Jewish authors. This is a natural. You were not worried about safety on campuses when white conservatives tried to talk and they were literally beaten up by Latina nurses, okay? And there's famous ass videos of that. You have set the precedence. This is the whole crux of the Conspiracy Social Club. Why my co-host, who's wonderful and incredibly fast, one of the fastest comics, and he's not even a comedian. Funny. He's the fastest guy out there. And he's fucking got this wonderful sense of humor, but it's just this one little thing that, because he's got it in his DNA, it's been pounded into him since he was a kid. This narrative of that this group is the one group everyone goes after and blames for everything. I go, it's not, dude. It's just brand new because since October 7th, this is now allowed to be discussed. There are people, there are shows, there are books, there are TV shows, there are movies, all written about white people are the problem and everything. You can go on CNN and without any kind of punishment say, white people are the problems. We need to get rid of white people. And nobody bats an eye. And when this one group, and again, I've said this before, I don't think it's their fault. They are the low-hanging fruit that is being used as the firewall to the highest levels of power. So you have to create this kind of thing, this thing where they must be defended all the time. Because once that firewall goes, then everything is open to discuss, and they can't have that. And then on top of that, it's like even deeper, man. Like then you go, oh, dude, it's not the Jews. It's these Babylonian bankers. It's Rome. It's the Vatican. It's the Bank of England. It's the Rome. It's the British Empire. And they get mad at that. They get mad at that. Well,
that's only half of. I mean, so we've suffered through this 10 years of anti-white, masculinity kind of narrative that's been going on. That's half of the tinderbox. The other half of the tinderbox is the speech that's been suppressed surrounding, the Jews or let's say black people or anything like that. So what you do is you demonize one group, and then when they go to respond, you suppress that speech. So you're not allowed to have this part of the conversation, 100%. But you are allowed to have that. And then what happens is you create a pressure cooker effect because the conversation never goes away. And then you put somebody in power, let's say an Elon Musk, he comes along and he cracks the valve and he allows the conversation to be had. But because the pressure has been built up, and now it is disproportionately blowing up.
Hey, guys, let me tell you something. Bitcoin, at the time of this recording, it just hit an all-time high.
Yeah.
That's right. 110, everybody. So let me tell you, you got to know what to buy, when to buy it, and there's no better person and place than going to our good friends at Copy My Crypto. So let me tell you about Copy My Crypto. Guys, it has to piss you off to watch crypto fly up in prices for a decade and you still done nothing, okay? It makes sense. Crypto is complicated and it's really boring. Well, here's the good news. You don't have to know a thing about crypto to make the money like so many have. The CopyMyCrypto.com membership site shows you the exact cryptos that YouTuber James McMahon personally owns, which means you just got to copy him. It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing about crypto or how to invest. You simply just copy along. So let me tell you about James. He runs the Crypto with James YouTube channel, which has over 50,000 subscribers. In the summer of 2020, he told his viewers to buy 26 cryptos. Had you put $100 into each one, it went on to be worth over $123,000. Of the 26 cryptos, his top pick, the one he singled out called Phantom, went up 692 times from when he said, okay, that one call alone retired a number of people, including guys in their 20s and 30s. Remember, this is public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify this yourself. So if you'd like to join the 2,800 members who copy James, then pause what you're doing right now and head over to CopyMyCrypto.com/TFH. Okay, that's CopyMyCrypto.com/TFH. TFH. That's TFH. You're not only find proof of everything I said, but my viewers get full access for just $1. Yes, you've missed out on Bitcoin, or you can keep buying some, okay? But there's over 2 million other cryptos. Do you really think you've missed out on all of them? Guys, don't waste any time. Go to the site and read it, okay? Once again, that's copymycrypto.com/TFH. It ended money worries for so many, it may just do the same for you. Hey, everybody, listen, everyone's always telling me, man, we wish we could hear more about you guys. What do you guys got going on? And I'll tell you what I got going on right now. I'm rock hard. This episode is so good, it's making me rock hard. And guess how I got there? That's right, our good friends at Blue Chew. Yeah, let me tell you about our good friends at Blue Chew. Guys, you can have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. And starting now, Blue Chew is offering a combo so strong it will knock your socks off and your neighbor's socks off. That's a lot of socks, okay? You'll have to move to another town with all the amount of noise you'll be making. Blue Chew Max has arrived, and it combines active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis into one chewable. That combo acts fast and lasts, okay? Get in it to win it, guys. It's really that simple. If you want rock hard boners that just keep the streets safe in the neighborhood, okay? Nobody's committing crimes if we're all getting mega dick downs, okay? Mega dick downs, less crime. That's what I've learned, okay? It's really that simple. If you want great sex, it's just a click away. Sign up, BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared, shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visit to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy, okay? So here's what we need to do. Make life easier by getting rock hard and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we got a special offer, a special deal for our tinfoil hat boners, okay? You want a rock hard boner, or you like to see a rock hard boner, okay? Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use the promo code tinfoil. Just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code tinfoil. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
And this is all we're allowed to talk about now. Like, I know people might follow my Twitter and they're like, oh, this guy, he might be a genuine Puerto Rican Nazi. And it's like, dude, if you watch my show and what we're here to talk about today, honestly, this shit goes back to the Nazis. It's kind of like their fault, but like it's such a double trick. So we're talking about Jews. We're only allowed to talk about Jews. And the people that are kind of like right wing now are all noticing. So if you say something like you say all the time, Sam, is like, yo, they're middle management. They're just like, they're there. They're also, listen, they're doing some dirt, man. And it's like, it's annoying. The Talmud is garbage. What they do, what they think of the Goyim is garbage. But when you put that aside and you look at like this bigger narrative of what's been going on, specifically like the vaccine schedule, the thing that's been, I think that is at the crux of what's been ailing us for the last 40 years. And that started in effect right around the 1950s, right around like Operation Paperclip, right around, Roswell.
100%.
We've gotten to the point, this is going to sound hyperbolic, but I think, and I'm not even joking, I'm starting to believe that the vaccine schedule is an extension of the MKUltra program. And we're going to get into that, why we believe that. But he's right. All of this shit is interconnected, and it starts mid 40s, early 50s after Operation Paperclip. We learned a lot from those Nazi scientists that we borrowed in the way.
I'm going to correct you on that. We didn't borrow them, dude. I'm just telling you. Everyone can call me. I get in fights on the internet. The Bolsheviks come in different forms. Okay. They were the Jews in Russia, but in China, they were the Chinese. In America, they are the progressive left. In Germany, they were the Nazis. Different names for the same game. Those are 4 countries that you cannot fucking invade because they will kick your dick in. Okay, maybe Germany not today, but every one of those other countries. If you attack them straight up, they will send every one of your sons back in a body bag. Okay. So when you go, well, I'm not yelling at you, Raven. I'm just saying the narrative is like we got into a draft and we drafted them. No, dog. They crip walked over. Mm-hmm. They didn't change their names. They never changed their names.
Oh yeah.
If you were going to be hiding, you would change your fucking name.
Yeah.
They came over here and took over. They were brought over to take over. They were not fucking kidnapped and brought here and forced to work at gunpoint. There's a famous 60 Minutes story in Canada. None of the Nazis changed their names. None of them.
Well, they were fighting for. I mean, they were fighting the Russians to get to them. They couldn't get them fast enough over to. They were offering them.
You're right though.
It's like
it's
a free
hilarious
agency
narrative to say that they came here in hiding, because what they did was they established some of the major institutions that affect our. It's like, why would you keep such a high profile job, in shaping the future of America if your objective was to lay low?
The first fucking head of the NATO was a Nazi. He didn't even change his fucking name.
Yeah.
They were brought, they won. They won the war. And then they were brought over to co-opt our military and turn into the third pillar of the control of humanity, which is the Vatican, the Bank of England, and Washington, D.C. That's how you control
I think they were
humanity.
not the final product. What we're experiencing right now is the final product of the Nazi regime.
No, they treated them good. There was this right when they came from Germany to the United States, they went to U.S. bases and they were treated like kings. They were playing golf and tennis, and they were treated well by U.S. soldiers, being told what to do.
In Alabama, where did we go? Huntsville, Alabama. Into the mid '80s, you would get screamed at by anyone who lived in Huntsville, Alabama. If you said Von Braun was a Nazi, they would say he had no choice. He had to. And Johnny's brought this up. He was a fucking nasty Nazi. The rumors were he'd go to concentration camp, and we can get into that whole discussion later, but I really want you guys to talk about. But he would go to concentration camps and make examples out of people. Like scumbag. But we brought him over because he created this space program that we were going to do. So that's another hidden history narrative. And that's my argument. People want to be like, oh, you're sharing Kanye's song. Are you a Nazi? No, I hate the Nazis.
No, I just love incredible pop songs. I mean,
it is an incredible pop song.
And it's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious to have a black guy saying, nigga, Heil Hitler.
It's wonderful.
Nobody sees that as like glaringly obvious that how is a black guy a Nazi?
It's so much comedy. It's like the highest level of comedy that they banned just the instrumental off of Apple Music and Spotify. It's like, that's how much that narrative hits. He said everything you're not allowed to say, but that's like, again, comedians should be ashamed of themselves when they for not doing that.
That's why I tell Leonardo all the time, in 5 years, you'll be seen as the right one.
Oh yeah.
And she goes she goes hard
among the right crowd. She's already seen as the right one.
Yeah, they love her. But it's like, again, if you want to blow up, you have to go hard right or hard left. If you go down the middle and go, both sides are full of retards, then they definitely don't want that. That's more dangerous.
To the hard right's benefit, at least what they have going for them is they're saying the things that we're being compelled not to say. And in that way, I'm a fan of the truth no matter what it is, and I'm not a fan of people telling you that you can't say a thing.
I agree, dude.
And so that they really have going for them.
Okay, so let's get into what you guys wanted to talk about. I feel like...
Well, all right, look, one of the best things, I think one of the greatest things as far as like shiny objects that really crush that we got from the Nazi regime is trauma-based mind control. This idea of taking an individual, especially when they're young, and inducing trauma to create a dissociative identity disorder. And throughout this conversation, you're going to find that is kind of the crux of everything that we've been talking about. So Top was right. Sometime around the 1940s, early 1950s, that's when we kick off the MKUltra program. And I don't think it's a coincidence at all that that's right after Operation Paperclip. It's because the Nazi regime was really crushing with that research.
They were on fire. And if you study Israel, one of the many things that I point out when they're like, we're October 7th, worst day ever. I go, look up all these things. One of them is called the Daya Doctrine. And the Daya Doctrine is shocking all your enemy with overwhelming violence and death. And this fits into exactly what you're talking about. Traumatize the fuck out of them.
Yeah. Now, a lot of this research, and this is what Top handles really well, is this the research of a character named Andrija Puharich, who ends up finding himself kind of like in the same time zone, right? It's like the mid 40s to early 50s. A lot of his research spurred on what would become the MKUltra program as well.
It's funny because he's mentioned Gray Monarch was on your show, and he mentioned a thing about Puharich. Then you actually had some like interference. He dropped out and then came back in, and then you were on to the next subject. But this motherfucker he comes up everywhere. It's stunning. This is why we started to look into him, because like multiple guests kept saying, yeah, a guy Andrija Puharich did this, and then he came up on the Telepathy Tapes, which we're going to talk about later because that is very important as well. But this dude was in the Army Medical Corps in the early 50s, late 40s at Edgewood Arsenal. And Edgewood Arsenal, if you look into that military base, it's connected to MKUltra, different CIA programs, mind control techniques, chemical interrogations. They were doing them on the soldiers there. So this is like real life stuff. This guy was in there doing what God only knows. He comes out, he starts to develop different patents. And one of the patent is actually kind of interesting. It's where some, people will argue where the term tinfoil hat comes from, but some people say that it comes from this guy.
Yeah.
He was putting dental implants into people's teeth, which would then allow them to pick up a radio frequency.
Oh my God.
It's like
you've seen this, right? This is like in cartoons and shit. They do this in Looney Tunes, where it's like they get braces and they start picking up voices.
Control Alt History. The guy from there, he's a fucking another one, a boss. He brought this up, and he was like, "Yeah, some guy Andrija Puharich. I don't really know much about him, but like he's just like in passing." And I'm like, "Wait a second." Like, so we've been like he's been on our radar, but yeah, this guy's just putting dental implants in people's teeth and driving them crazy. Like they're getting it's voice to skull technology, like the voice of God.
Yeah.
He didn't tell them.
Well, some people I don't think he did. But
Yeah, I mean, what's he gonna go? Hey, man, we're gonna put these metals in your teeth, and you're gonna hear radio waves.
I thought there's some people a little experimental. I thought some people would be, hey, I got this new technology here. Let me try it on you. And then for some people, it could use it for some like voice of God, like, hey, I need you to do this. Go handle this. But just a voice implant going to doctor. Next thing you know, you're a serial killer.
Yeah.
Well,
who's the guy that created Scientology? His name escapes me.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard. He almost died on the operating table of a dentist. And after that, he was inspired by entities to create this, like, I don't know, this religion it's basically about Elohim, angels, and, things like that. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe, but this is all around the same time frame as well. Like right around the 50s is when this stuff starts to pop up.
Well, Top, can I just clarify one thing real quick? So on the topic of how the hell they're getting this in people's mouths, it's like dental procedures. So you have an anecdotal story from Lucille Ball, which, if you go back, she famously thwarted a Japanese insurgency. And the way that she did that was she was picking up their communications in her head after a dental procedure. And so, interestingly enough, around the same time, 1940 something,
Did you know that?
something.
That's on the Tonight Show.
Heard that.
You can so again, more shit that just popped up on our radar. So that's on YouTube. You can go look that up yourself. It's like a 5-minute clip, and she's joking to I forget, like one of these old nightly hosts about it, and it's like, oh, everyone's laughing, audience applause. This clip gets picked up and put on the Telepathy Tapes when they're trying to draw the comparison of how these kids are reading each other's minds. Like I feel bad because we're skipping all over here, but follow me.
All right, hold on.
It's a huge thing. It's a huge picture.
Before we go, people at home are going to scream at me, but I really want you guys real quick to promote Bohemian Grove. We should have done that at the beginning. Real quick, get into it, and
let's get it out of the way. Guys, go to brogrove.com, June 20th through the 21st. It's a 2-day event. The first day is comedy. The first day is conspiracy. The second day is comedy. We have sweet Sam Tripoli, who's going to come out and hang out with us, as well as Owen Benjamin. I believe we have Tower Gang. We have Nephilim Death Squad. We have Shane Cashman coming.
Sorry, Brogrove.
Brogrove.com.
But shout out to those guys, bro. They have Bohemian Grove. It's a conspiracy company. Yeah. So the first day is going to be conspiracy, and this is going to take place in a theater. It's legitimate. We also have we got some weird shit planned out for when you guys walk in. God. It's going to be fun. We have Shane Cashman is going to be emceeing. He's also going to be doing a show. I think he's going to be interviewing someone about experiences.
There it is. I found it. My bad. I found it. There it is. Sorry, guys.
Look at that beautiful poster. Look at that. Yeah. How could you not want to be a part of this? Comedy,
dude, that got so much traction that we're all CIA. It was so hilarious.
Dude, yeah. Shout out the Florida Illuminati.
Yeah.
That's us now, I guess.
We've got Cult of Conspiracy doing a round table. A Nephilim Death Squad is going to be performing as well. Sam Tripoli headlining with comedy that night. It's just going to be a great night. Then the next night is going to be, we have Elijah Schaefer showing up doing some, I think he's calling it slightly offensive. We have, after that, maybe a surprise guest. I don't know. We'll see. But we're working on somebody really big. And then Tower Gang and Owen Benjamin closing off the second night of comedy. It's going to be a banger. And then we're going to go out to eat. We basically have 4 blocks of a town. Yeah. That's a small town in Florida by me that I know the guy who owns all this stuff. And we're just going to run this for 2 days. It's going to be weird. There's a college for the for the autistic and mentally disabled across the street. I shit you not. It's going to be the greatest time. I'm super excited. I just hope that we get invited back because
And also, we're going to be talking quite a bit about this because, like we're saying here, this is a big picture that we're trying to paint. We're not going to get to everything tonight. It's impossible. But the first day that's going to be conspiracy heavy, we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of this really wild theory that we're laying out here. But
also,
there will be, it's going to be awesome.
There will be a documentary film crew there. And it's going to be the documentary that we're filming is going to be based on this topic right now. It's like the MKUltra project, the Telepathy Tapes, Dr. Andrija Puharich's work.
The alien abductee victims.
Yeah. In a side room, we're going to have like a confessionals booth for people that are there to go in there and say whatever they think. And we'll parse through that later. So Bohemian Grove, this is the third one. You did the first one, Sam. The second one was Leonardo Joni, and you came back, man. You came back strong.
I couldn't do it last year because I had a date already or I was doing a date at a club near you and I couldn't split my audience.
Yeah, we made it out to see you. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. That was a night of savagery.
The guy that recorded you, Al, at that night, he's going to be doing the documentary.
Do you have his info? I need his info.
Yeah, we got him.
I'll get it to you after the show.
So sorry, everybody. We had to get that done. We want to promote all this stuff. So
very important.
Go check it out. Should be fireworks. So let's get back to what you were talking about. Do you remember where you left off?
We were talking about the dental implants, and we were saying that
Lucille
basically,
Ball.
Lucille Ball,
who by the way was an escort before. She was
and her name is weird, right? It's like Lucille, which is like Lucifer, and then Ball. I'm not saying that there's something there, but that's fucking weird, dude.
I never put those together. Damn,
that's a little weird. That's all I'm saying.
I love that. Weird. That's crazy, dude.
But yeah, that kind of enters pop culture. You find that in like old Looney Tunes episodes, the idea of like channeling these voices or receiving these voices, these frequencies with some sort of dental implant. Now, what ends up happening is they do move away from that technology. It is a filling, and that filling has like some sort of heavy metal in it. But eventually they move away from that because the heavy metals are toxic. And I would argue that they continued that program. They just kind of shifted how they got those heavy metals into you. And rather than putting them in your teeth, they figured out a way to get them into your brain. And we're going to end up crossing that bridge a little bit later on.
So that's like that's like a 30-year project that it seems like. And they just keep increasing the schedule, the vaccine schedule, because I guess, 16 for me at my age wasn't enough. So like for my kids, it was 64 and now it's something like 72 plus a COVID. It's fucking insane. They just like, they have cranked this up to 100. But let's talk about Puharich again. So he's got this dental implant stuff. He has patents on something called extremely low frequency waves, ELF waves, which are, again, it's used to cause like psychosomatic reactions in people. It's like apparently you could just kind of like point this at people and really fuck them up. And he was using this. It turns out that they had to suspend use of this because it was having environmental effects. So this is also the start of like the harp machine shit. Like it was changing the weather.
Which is hilarious, by the way, because they're like, oh, we have to stop because it's affecting the weather. And then somebody obviously goes, no, the fuck we don't. We got to make that. We got to scale that up. What are you talking about, baby?
Yeah, it's all right. So this dude, like his work is all kind of focused on manipulating the human mind. He has a book. Yeah, frequencies, the human mind. He has a book called The Sacred Mushroom. So we went down that route, but his work with psychedelics and mushrooms isn't as prolific as other people's work. So his telepathy stuff, though, is really where this guy shines. And
it's also worth mentioning that he ends up channeling, does he not?
So underneath all of this, from the 1950s all the way till, after Operation Stargate and Uri Geller, he's working with the Indian mystic, this guy, D.G. Vinod. And, from what our studies find, he just starts channeling with this dude. They start to channel entities, and the entities that approach them they're calling themselves the Nine. And this is like right up our alley. Yeah. So They describe themselves as the Egyptian Ennead. And they tell these guys their names. Their names are Atum, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys. These are the 9 deities that are worshipped in Heliopolis back in the day. So again, we were talking about the Nazis. We're talking about the Bolsheviks in China and all these places across the world that are kind of impenetrable to governmental spies in this fashion, but not to entities. Because this message, what they're delivering throughout human history, it's too big to be delivered by like a person that's like sending it down to his kids. Your kids are going to fuck this up. But if there's an age-old entity, this is the only way that this makes sense. So we did some more research on this thing called the 9, and it'll fucking blow your mind, man. I mean, across mythologies, you have the 9 muses in Greek mythology, which is, again, it's a completely different geographic location. The Norse mythology, you have the 9 worlds, Asgard, Midgard, shit like that. Chinese mythology has 9 dragons. These are all entities that are revered in these cultures and religions.
Whoa.
Hindu mythology, the Navagra, the 9 celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, the stars, all shit like that. Mesoamerican mythology, even in Satanism, modern day Levian Satanism, they have a council of 9. That's how they organize their satanic church.
Yeah, and of course that council of 9 is no doubt channeling entities. So I'm going to cut to the chase here and just tell you guys that what we believe is the 9, the Ennead, Egyptian Ennead, doesn't matter. These are the fallen, right? These are the same entities that were cast out of heaven in the Genesis 6 narrative, landed on Earth, and then began to basically position themselves as our lowercase g gods.
I totally agree with that. And my friend Tony Dorado, who I talk to a lot about Christianity with, he believes that when the Tower of Babel was destroyed and God destroyed it, he sent these entities all over the world. And that's why every single one of these cultures have a different god. And that, because someone showed me a picture of all these like Eastern gods, and they all have the bath mitt, one finger, the 2-finger up look. I would do it right now, but someone will freeze the frame and then say that I'm Francis Bacon.
You didn't know you're a Fed?
It's unbelievable. So that totally lines up with me. Guys, you know one thing about Daddy, he loves action, and he loves stacking that action. That's right. If there's a UFC fight or NFL games or whatever it is, you know I want to go deep. I want to win so much money that I retire my bloodline. Well, guess what? Daddy plays off of emotion. That's a horrible way to do it. So listen, that's why you got to get an app that gives you the best stats that help you figure out what's the best play, and that's the Hall of Fame app. That's right. We're proud to have them as a sponsor, okay? You're looking for stats. You're looking for numbers that give you the best odds to figure it out. Then you go with your gut. And there's no better place right then at the Hall of Fame app, right, Johnny?
Yeah, how many times, Sam, have you been just one leg away from hitting a massive parlay and you wished you had maybe done a little more research?
All the time.
Yeah. Well,
all the time. The numbers don't lie, okay?
Are you tired of throwing your money at parlays that you just have a feeling about?
That's the story of my life.
Yeah. Going that well, the Hall of Fame app can help with that, Sam.
Breaking it down, we're talking real action here, people.
They were founded by lifelong sports fans who just happened to be giant data nerds that graduated from Ivy League schools. Stop bragging. You can finally have a leg up on Vegas by using historical data, matchup grades, leg correlation tools. I don't know what that is. Sounds awesome.
I'm
and
rock
player
hard
performance weights. They have a 4.9 rating in the App Store too. Wow.
Damn, 4.9. I can't even get my Uber rating that high. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. For a limited time only, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use the code TINFOIL at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS or Android and enter the code
TINFOIL.
And you're all set. And we thank them for sponsoring this show.
These guys are channeling the 9. They're doing all this weird stuff. It bleeds over into Operation Stargate, which is also like channeling. They're doing it by like prehistoric, by like primitive means. They're using Ouija boards. They're doing sex magic. There's a bunch of, mystics, psychics involved. Puharich, of course, is snaking in and out of this for the entirety of its operation. He goes to Tel Aviv, Israel. He finds Uri Geller. Uri Geller's involved with this Operation Stargate. But it's really just a continuation of what he's doing here with Dr. Vinod, which is channeling these entities. So
right.
it goes from like however he's channeling them here with a Ouija board to now in the 70s, it turns into this like outer space thing. Everyone is like big on Roswell, and we're gonna do CE5 and call down aliens. And I think it's the same thing. It's just like we came on the show recently and we talked about how it's just like a rebranding.
Yes. So, I've been saying this. I said it on Rogan. I was like at the end of the thing, and he because he had so many shows coming up, he had to jam. But the old gods want to come out and play.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, and they're really good at rebranding, and that's the thing that you see over and over again. But they have the same message, and that message is what exposes them. And you'll get this a lot. We'll talk about some of the places where you see this message, but generally speaking, it's twofold. One, there is a coming calamity. This is the point of channeling them, right? They're talking about a coming calamity, something big that humanity has to avoid. And the other thing is, after that, if you survive, we're going to enjoy some sort of spiritual evolution, spiritual ascension. We're going to take our place. And this narrative escapes the Ennead and goes all the way to what we maintain as a rebranding to the alien abductee victims. We actually just talked to somebody named Fringe recently on our podcast, and it was an incredible moment because Fringe is a woman who's been an abductee victim for her entire life. And, a little ways into the conversation, we talked about, well, what message, if any, are these things imparting on you? And she goes, yeah, there's a message. And the message is we have to watch out for a coming polar shift. So there's your great big calamity. Now, this is not supposed to be connected. These are aliens. So they're abducting people and they're telling them that there's a coming calamity. Meanwhile, they're like raping them, impregnating them, taking them against their will, all this other shit. But they're really concerned about our well-being and the state of the planet, right? They don't want us to destroy each other in mutually assured destruction. They don't want us to destroy the planet, as far as pollution and shit like that goes. And also within the alien narrative is the idea, and you get this predominantly from something called the Galactic Federation of Light, that humanity has to liberate itself from these evil kind of deep state characters. And if we can do that, then we can ascend spiritually and take our place among the Galactic Federation. You see this narrative espoused over and over again, but the entities always change a little bit. It's ancient Egyptian gods. It's our benign space brothers. And it's something that, I think is psychologically ingrained in people to a certain degree now. Like the New Age movement does believe that we have to spiritually ascend. And there is this big concern about, let's say a coming polar shift, or at least the state of our planet. We've been primed for a long time to worry about, as if it's finite, as if we could destroy this planet. I do not believe that we can. But we've been made to fear the idea that there is some great cataclysm that we have to avoid, whether it's nuclear destruction or, pollution just getting completely out of control and the oceans rising and all that shit.
And that narrative rears its head again in the number one podcast in the world for a little while, the Telepathy Tapes, which it almost leads like right back into Puharich's work and this idea of, just getting heavy metal toxics into a lot of people's brains to make them susceptible to channeling all the time.
Yeah, because you figure that metal is a conductor, right? And so what is it conducting? Well, it's conducting frequency in this instance. And much of the work from the Nazi regime that we were talking about is based around a dissociative identity disorder by way of trauma. So if you can traumatize an individual, you can get them to disassociate. And I think earlier on in the show, I said that I believe the vaccine schedule is an extension of the MKUltra program. So take, for example, even Project Montauk, right? And that's what Stranger Things is based off of. You're taking a child, you're inducing trauma, and that trauma is doing what? It's opening up latent psychic abilities. And that latent psychic ability allows for 11 to do what? Cross over into a different realm and communicate with some sort of entities over there, whether it's the Demigorgon thing from season 1 or from season 2, it's a much more like nefarious, sentient entity that actually speaks English. But that's it. At the heart of it, that's it. And what's really funny is I was listening to, I don't know if you guys know Shane Dawson, but he's kind of like an OG YouTuber.
Absolutely.
And he had somebody on. Yeah. What's that?
I remember him. Yeah,
he got in trouble.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
for some shit.
In it, weird.
He got in trouble for some weird
guy. Kind of
right?
part of that gay mafia of YouTube that was really big.
Yeah.
Jeffree Star, him, and that other brunette.
He was on one of those shows about making movie, like Project Greenlight, or one of those two, where he got to make his own film, and it was a shit show.
I actually never absorbed the dude's content, but one of his videos came across my table recently. He's got a woman on, and she's talking about the Gates program.
It's this guy, right?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
that's
that's
him,
Shane.
yeah.
Man, he looks rough there.
Yeah, he ain't looking too good.
Yeah,
He's
that's
a rough-looking gay.
He's a rough.
Well, he's had a lot
Disney
going
Channel or something like that. But turns out he's an old school YouTuber.
Used
Long
to be
time. I think
huge.
2008 is when he started doing the damn thing. So he's been in here for a long time. He's got a woman on, and she's talking about the Gates program. A lot of people, I'm sure you've explored this on your show. A lot of people are aware of it, but it's this idea that there was a selection process in elementary school and maybe middle school where they were looking for gifted and talented children.
Johnny was one of them.
Were you really, Johnny?
Yeah, I took this weird test. Yeah, and I was.
You remember the headphones? I remember the headphones. I remember the voice. I remember, can you hear this tone in your right ear? Can you hear this tone in your left ear? Kind of shit.
Yeah,
I was in it. Yeah.
I didn't even take it. They didn't want illegals.
Well, what they end up doing is
smart. Had nothing to do with your legal status.
I don't think that's what it was. But so she starts explaining all of the different, I don't know, like hallmark signs of you being in the Gates program. And Shane Dawson is freaking the fuck out because everything she says, he's going, oh my God, I experienced that. They're talking about a pink drink. He's like, I remember the pink drink. And then he goes, and they had flashcards, and the objective was to try to psychically guess what was going to be on the flashcards. So Shane Dawson is having a fucking mental breakdown. I recommend people watch it. It's a great episode. He's having a mental breakdown because everything she's saying is resonating with him. So eventually they get to the big question. And the question is, what the fuck is the point? What are they doing with these kids, right? And she goes, they're trying to put them in touch with aliens. And Shane Dawson nearly shits a brick because his entire life, not only was he an abduction victim as a child, and he has all these regressive memories of fucking being taken by alien greys and sleep paralysis and all this shit, but he's obsessed with aliens. So she touches on what I believe is the truth. It's just a little bit to the left of the truth. Where the truth is these are not aliens. That's a rebranding. These are ancient adversarial entities that rebelled against God and fundamentally hate us.
Yes. They hate God's perfect creation.
Yes. And so what ends up happening is she kind of, gets real close to it, but she calls them aliens. I do believe she's correct. And I think that's the exact thing that's going on with the fucking telepathy tapes. These things seem innocuous and they even seem kind of beautiful, right? Because on the surface, what you have is parents who have been told that their children, these nonverbal autistic kids, are simply not in there. And that they're never going to have a relationship with these kids, and that basically they're glorified caretakers until they pass away, which is horrifying. Any parent that gets that fucking kind of diagnosis,
it's happening to me right now. My kid is finally starting to say words. She didn't say.
This is something that's a lot more prolific.
Do you have? This might be put them on a fucking heavy metal detox because my son was the same way for.
We're working on it. It's a long story, but we're working on everything.
Good.
Everything is full.
Good.
Boom. And again, I don't want to disrespect anybody and say anything nasty, but they're medical professionals that I'll listen to my girlfriend talk to them knowing the answer, and the answer they give is so sad and pathetic. Like, she brought up to a mainstream medical professional, that's all I'll say, and go, what do you think about these metal detox? They're like, nah, it's nothing. I go, whoa, bro.
Jeez.
I go, I had to walk out of the room because I was so fucking upset.
My son, before we moved, one of the catalysts for us to move from New York, besides COVID, was my son was nonverbal. He wasn't even really communicating, didn't really understand his name even for 2 years of his life. And we got out here to Florida. My wife got really sick, and she's in Western medicine, or was in Western medicine. We went the holistic route with her, and she did all of her research from the perspective of a registered nurse, found out some holistic treatments for my son, and thank God, dude, we put him on a heavy metal detox, among other things, parasite cleanses, shit like that, all the kind of stuff that you hear from crunchy moms and stuff like that. It works. He's a regular, David comes to my house often, regular kid now.
I would never know, actually, because I met his son after that. I would never know that
his verbal acuity is within 6 months he caught up, but that's still 2.5 years of his life that was it was stolen. I remember it was right after the DTaP vaccine. This can't go anywhere near YouTube. But
had a
lump on his leg. And they were like, "Oh, it's no problem." And I was like, "This is like fucking." Every time I brought my kid in there to get these shots, I'm like, it's like this churning in my stomach because like I'm like, this is not right. But like we were trying, like maybe if we spread it out and we do it slow, but no, that's not that wasn't the case. And what was the case was, you know, after these interventions, he's fucking fine. So
Yeah.
then, you know, but it leads right into this work. Like now I'm looking at the telepathy tapes and it's like this lady Kai Dickens will say anything but vaccine on here.
Yeah.
And they're framing the narrative of it as if the nonverbal autistic people is a step up in evolution.
Yeah.
And that's what these kids are telling us as well. They're saying, you know, oh, we have to like ascend to our higher levels. This is how we're supposed to communicate. And I'm like, I think this is how we were communicating during the Tower of Babel. And then God spread us out because when people were all telepathically communicated, they try to aim an arrow at God to kill him. So you can't do that. That's not what we're meant to do.
But look at the similarities there, right? Because you're right. We're talking about MKUltra. What does it do? You traumatize them, they disassociate, and through that, you create like a split in the mind, and they're very open to programmability and suggestibility, right? Then you have the Montauk Project, where Stranger Thing lays it out. You traumatize them. This causes them to disassociate, somehow unlocking psychic powers, and then they're all of a sudden crossing over into different realms, or whatever the case may be. I think that is actually the point of the vaccine schedule. So let's say Puharich had a major breakthrough and the intelligence agencies looked at this as very promising. Wow, you can actually do a lot with people if you can get them to disassociate from their identity, right? And they find out that when these people disassociate, they seem to be communicating with something on the other side. So metal augments that. Maybe if we can get an implant as close as possible to the brain, acting as a small antenna, that will amplify the frequency.
Too many dentist appointments, though.
Right.
Dude, I literally had a dentist pay for his house off my mouth, putting metals in there. My whole, as soon as I left this dentist, I never had another cavity. Every single he drilled every one of my teeth.
Like root canals and stuff?
No, he gave me fillings.
Yeah, you've never seen Sam when he does that.
I know he's got fillings.
Yeah, he's got the fillings, yeah.
Almost every one of my mouth, every one of my teeth has a filling in it. He just, but my brother got none. But for some reason, he was just.
You worried about that?
I mean, I was thinking, how can I get them taken out? Johnny, I said this a long time ago to you in passing that I thought they were trying to put shit in my head.
To make you
thoughts.
Are you getting thoughts?
There you go.
Are you receiving
I was
anything?
thinking that a long time ago. Oh, they're putting thoughts in my fucking
Are you receiving anything?
What do you mean?
I mean, if your head's an antenna, are you?
I mean, I think they're trying to put a lot of doubt in my head.
I mean, that's what they're really good at. This
goes to the work of Dr. Jerry Marzinski. I don't know if you guys have had him. I don't think you've had him on the show.
God, you need to.
Yeah, licensed psychotherapist in the field for 30 years. His theory is that like maybe 80% of the thoughts that like roll through our head are not our own.
Damn.
And, yeah, it's a lot. It was fucking crazy. I mean, that was a mind-blowing episode that we did, episode like 15 or something early on.
I love that dude. Yeah,
we shouldn't have even had this guy come on because we were like that new in the show. But you know what
Top didn't mention before though is when Puharich was putting this dental implant in people, the reason the tinfoil hat is relevant is because that's what they were doing to block these frequencies. This guy's getting inundated with these voices now that he has this dental implant, and he finds that the only way he can stop it is by wrapping his fucking noggin in tinfoil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it blocks a signal. So that's like, that's part of where it comes from. But
listen to this. So okay, let's say that the research was promising. Now you have two problems. Number one, the teeth aren't the brain. They're pretty close, but they're not the brain, right? And the other problem is, how the fuck would you roll this out in mass if you wanted to? You couldn't do that because then everybody would have to be in a dentist's office and you'd have to push all these fillings and shit. And look, if you look at it, the industry has changed. They no longer use heavy metal in these fillings anymore. So
it's like
obviously that wasn't the thing. Now, I think what happened is they created the vaccine schedule, and everybody who's worried about the vaccines is worried about what in them? Toxins. But what kind of toxins? Heavy metals, mercury, shit like that. Where do these toxins settle? Well, they're so small that they can cross the blood-brain barrier and they accumulate in the fucking brain, right? So you have that. We've gotten it there and everybody's getting it. Now you have the other side of the research, which is that trauma-based mind control, that identity disassociation, right? How do you do that? You do it by trauma. If you traumatize an individual, they disassociate. Well, what happens when the vaccines that you give cause a complete disconnect in the body? It results in this nonverbal autistic child. That's fucking trauma, if I've ever seen it.
In the show, the Telepathy Tapes, they do they do a tremendous job, but I feel like they're intentionally misleading in some spots. But when they're talking about this dissociative identity disorder within these children, the children describe, and they're all spelling the children. They're like typing the letters one by one, whether it be an iPad or pointing to a board. They're saying that their soul, their being, is vibrating on a different frequency than their body.
Right.
So that goes to Tesla's work, like we're all frequency vibration, shit like this. And it makes a lot of sense. So in order for them to like be able to even begin spelling on a board, often their parents would have to touch them, which makes the idea of spelling controversial because they think they're giving them cues, but they're touching them to like base them. And it gives them the sense that they're in their body. That's why you'll see the kids do a lot of this shit. Or
it's like an anchor point. Yeah, they're they're freaking the fuck out. They're trying to feel their body.
Stemming.
It's called stimming. Yeah, but that's what's going on. Like they're vibrating on a certain level and their body's vibrating on another level, and they cannot connect. They've been disassociated from their body. But then the question is like, well, why? Now why is it like 1 in 32 children now have some form of this? Why are they doing fucking nigga Heil Hitler covers on YouTube, on Twitter? We don't know these questions, Sam. But everyone's autistic. In California, it's like 1 in 20. Why?
Yeah, California
Why are they
is really fucking
this?
crazy with the numbers out there. I think that the reason they're doing that is because this kind of research has existed for a long time, right? This thing that's been largely dismissed by the scientific community as pseudoscience has been explored for a long time. All of our, potential psychic abilities. Rupert Sheldrake is somebody that I like to point to. He's an excellent researcher. He highlights the smaller examples, like let's say you're thinking of a song and all of a sudden your spouse starts singing that song. Or another one of his studies was on house pets and how house pets seem to know when their owners are coming home. And they switched up the variable. They said, well, if you come home every day at 5 p.m. from work, then maybe your dog will eventually figure that out. So we have to switch up that variable. They found that no matter what time the owners came home, about 15 minutes before they did, the dog would start to get reactive. It would get a little anxious, a little neurotic. It would go to the windows, and somehow it was able to anticipate its owner coming home. So what I mean to say is this field of study has existed for fucking ever, right? It's not like psychic phenomenon is new to us. Why then did the telepathy tapes blow up the way they did? Well, why are we treating this as if it's this new phenomenon?
I went up and I watched this podcast that was kind of trying to debunk these telepathy tapes by saying that it's inhumane to have them use the keyboard or use the iPad because you're kind of dictating what they're saying.
Yeah, like you're leading them.
You're leading them, and it's like inhumane, and you're telling them what to say when they're not even trying to say that. So they're trying to debunk it some way or another because it's that thing where they're saying the parent has to be in the building. Technically, the kid can never do it without the kid in the building. So to them, it doesn't count.
Well, that's what Rupert Sheldrake really highlighted, was that this connection, this psychic connection, is strongest with individuals that you're closest to, right? So house pets and your loved ones. It's like the people that you spend the most time around, you will develop some sort of psychic connection. Ever think about your fucking homie who's real close to you? All of a sudden the phone rings and it's him. You're like, what the fuck? I was just thinking about this guy. Like the people that you're closest to are the ones that this work on the most. So I could see how if the parents were gone and the kid was thrown into flux and out of his natural environment, that this wouldn't perform very well, right? But I think what's happening here is the message is important. These things are always imparting the same shit. And that is coming calamity, spiritual ascension. And these kids in the telepathy tapes, they talk about that to a degree, right? They allude to the idea that there are these other entities and they're communicating with them and humanity needs to evolve or ascend. But that narrative has been around for a long time and nobody's fucking listening. And I think what they did was they took people who were told they were never going to speak. They took parents who were told that their children weren't even inside those physical forms at all. And then all of a sudden, when there was a giant breakthrough and these kids could actually speak, the whole world would fucking listen. And I think that was the point. You needed a mouthpiece that performed essentially a miracle. And then we might slow down and go, well, what else are they talking about? Spiritual ascension, psychic communication, and entities that seem to have our better interests at heart. And they also want us to avoid this coming calamity. So
hold on. So what you're saying is that they did this, they still ran a psyop on us? That
with the telepathy tapes.
Yeah.
And that it's not for good, but it's actually get us to more buy into that this 9. But we're not telling us it's the 9.
I don't think that telepathy is the miracle that we think it is. I think we all have this ability, but we've moved into a materialistic paradigm and we've kind of pushed those things to the side. I think, like anything, these kids have shown you, if you give them no other option, they will lean into this. And that you can train like anything and get better and better at it, right? And so I think it's always there for us, but we don't focus on it because that's pseudoscience. That's, it's not part of the conversation. We live in a materialistic scientific paradigm, and that is, kookery, right? And so I think that it's kind of, it's another one of these rebranding things. Like every time somebody has an encounter with an alien, every time somebody has an encounter with a demon, every time somebody has an encounter with a cryptid, these things are speaking to them telepathically. I think the spoken word is more powerful. And I think
spoken word, to be able to speak into existence, the vibrate, like when, so this is like, there's a lot of biblical principles here. When you read just the first couple of verses in the Bible, God is singing the word he's singing the world into existence with vibration and frequency. There's a lot of power there. There's the ability to prophesy with your speech. When the entities, when Lucifer came up to God, I think this is in the book of Daniel, he has to tell him his plan. He has to actually physically speak it to God so that it's out there vibrating in the universe. He has now manifested his plan, and God says, boom, perfect, you're judged. We will now move forward with the judgment. So like, obviously this story in the Bible, if you believe the Bible, it has been told, it has been written, it's already over. We're just playing it out. But if I was an entity that was stuck in some kind of like, I don't know, etheric realm that's underneath ours, the last thing that I would want you doing was casting me out in the name of Jesus, which constantly happens to aliens.
Even Kurt Metzger's come to that, who was very anti-religion for a very long time, has come to the conclusion that there is something to the name of Jesus.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of power in words, man. It's called prophecy. But again, like I said, I wouldn't want you guys even uttering that phrase. So I don't know, tricking you to fucking perform telepathy would be great. And then on top of that, we'll use our favorite autist to go ahead and no one's talking about this, trademark the word telepathy and telekinesis in conjunction with his Neuralink stuff that he wants to put in our brain. Don't worry about it. It's like, it's insane. And
that actually plays a huge part in that. I don't want to quite go there yet, but I want to say on the topic of that whole, these entities speaking with you telepathically, if you are made to believe that sort of thing doesn't exist, and like, let's say hypothetically, it's a long fucking con to strip you of your spiritual understanding. Shout out Tucker Carlson, whatever the hell you think about him. He's the one that said it recently, that we in the West have lost our understanding of the spiritual realm, and it may be by design. If you can strip our understanding of the spiritual realm from us, and then all of a sudden you have these amazing interactions with demons and cryptids and fucking aliens, and our paradigm says those things don't even exist. Yeah. Not only is that shocking when you find out they do, but when they start communicating with you telepathically, it is the illusion of power. You're amazed by this entity, and that amazement is really all they need to sell you on their narrative, right? Because for some reason, people never stop to think, well, I was abducted. I have these, these memories of being on this craft, and I have this message that's been imparted on me by these superior beings with superior technology who are superior to me spiritually because they're talking to me telepathically. That is enough to never make you go, are they lying? Right? It's like the amazement keeps you from ever analyzing your experience, because people will tell you your experience wasn't even real. And you have an uphill battle just proving that it was. Never mind, are we going to speculate as to whether or not these things were lying to you?
Oh, that's very interesting.
I think that's exactly what they're doing. And going on to the Elon Musk point.
Before, like, so again, listen to the telepathy tapes. There's an Indian mother. They do this thing, and this woman, Kai Dickens, is a documentary filmmaker. So it's not filmed like a normal podcast. It's filmed very edited, heavily edited. And, she skips over these like weird spiritual parts. She'll put in what she wants you to hear. But like, there's a part where the Indian mother is saying that like the son is saying he's communicating with dead relatives and other entities. And I drew him away from that. Didn't want to get into it. The Mexican girl, same thing. She's communicating with entities. They don't want to get into it. they have a Christian pastor come on who works with the youth. He was on Blurry Creatures as well. I forget his name, but Blurry Creatures, shout out to them. It's a really great show, clean Christian show, not like our show. But he had him on, and on Blurry Creatures, he said, I was surprised at how much they edited out, specifically the parts about Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
There was no mention of that name. There was no mention of really any kind of Christian religiosity besides another mother who was an evangelical, but not really, and who cares, whatever, moving on. It's the podcast series was framed in a specific light. It's a new age light. The lady's a lesbian, and she has a narrative to push.
Oh, wow. That's kind of what we see with these docs that are coming out on like HBO. They have a certain narrative. That's what they say about, that's Candace Owens' whole take on Making the Murder. I don't necessarily agree with her on what she's saying. I do think they framed that fucking that guy. But that only certain, and even Johnny said that basically the producers of one of the docs was like, we're here to push a narrative, right? What'd they say on
something like that. It's been a while, but yeah.
So wait, what you were saying is a lot of the kids' parents were religious?
No, not religious.
But they kept that all out.
Okay, yeah. But were they?
Yeah.
Do you know if any of them were? Because I mean, when your kid's autistic, I mean, not that it is, but you start becoming very spiritual. You have hope.
The Indian woman was more of a, like, she had traditional Indian beliefs, which is all Nephilim
like Vedic
shit.
principles and such.
Yeah, Vedic principles. They don't really go into that, but they do mention that her son was communicating with entities, and she seemed alarmed by it. It was a very brief moment, and they were like, she seemed alarmed, and she did her best to tell her kid, which I guess is good advice, like, kind of like ignore it, don't go that direction, because she believed probably that he was.
Yeah, that's a woman who believes in the spiritual realm, and she knows what inhabits it.
Yeah, so the Mexican woman as well. All these people are Christians, but they're Christians to a point. Like, modern Christianity has failed to explain this to us. So when you get it under a new age lens, people. What was
That's
that?
why, because it's been manipulated.
They give us a watered down version of Christianity, and they strip most of the supernatural aspects.
Everyone's excited about this new pope. I just saw this guy on End Times Productions did a whole video on the new pope, and the church that he was at. The church he was at in Peru is famously covering up Anunnaki fallen angel tunnels. And it's known for it. And this guy who is leading the Vatican Church now was fully involved in that cover up.
There are worse tunnels to be covering up, at least I'll say that.
Yeah, but
I suppose these might be the worst of the worst.
This changes like timelines. This changes. This proves more.
I was just doing a J joke, but yeah,
that's all right. It was appreciated.
We do appreciate it, Johnny.
I appreciate it.
And well, there are worse tunnels, right? Like the Vatican Library. Is like,
yeah, really.
The knowledge that has been hidden from us is a big part of the whole discussion going on right now.
Part of that too. Do you wonder, because the Pope, while they serve for life, they are the least permanent thing about the church. So I do wonder if they're almost like the president, where they don't even get the good shit.
No,
it's really
you don't get to that position unless you're
you
full
think so?
on.
Well, no, but I'm talking about, like, I'm not talking about whether they're bought in and they're a piece of shit. I believe that. I'm talking about whether they actually get all the information though. Like they're really deep. I feel like there's like a permanent state also in the Vatican. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, probably.
Like we have here, and that probably.
Well, because we know that the white pope, based on his clothes,
Yes.
it's called the white pope, is one of three popes. Exactly. And then we don't actually see the real pope, which is the gray pope.
Right. I just wonder, would they really let this guy out there, this Leo out there, where he could accidentally say, you know what I mean? Like,
it's interesting too, because the original Pope Leo has like a prophecy. So the Pope whose namesake he has had a prophecy, a vision, essentially of like revelation of the tribulation, and it's just really interesting because he happens to be the Pope who comes after what would have been the completion of like St. Malachi's prophecy of like the 111 or the 112 popes that are supposed to come to pass before the end times roll. And then all of a sudden we do get a new pope, right? Because some people are like, are we going to get a new one? Or is it going to be St. Malachi's prophecy? And we get a new one, but his namesake is that of the man who had a vision about tribulation, which is really fascinating. I don't know where to put it, but all that shit is it's so the version that we get is so far from the truth. About the nature of the Vatican, the nature of the Pope, and what goes on there. It's hard. It almost makes me not want to look at it because it's riddled with such bullshit.
I'm with you. I totally agree.
We were talking a minute ago about Elon Musk, right? And Top called him everybody's favorite autist, which is in a lot of ways it's like a quick little joke, but it's true, right? I mean, Elon Musk has positioned himself on the world stage, and as he's done that, he's led with this autistic narrative. Like, he's on the spectrum. That's much of what you heard when he did the, my heart goes out to you, the Sig Heil, and people said, oh, well, he's autistic. He was just really excited. And I think it's fascinating that we have this autist who's one of the most influential men in the planet. Probably, I would say, like top 2, at least the ones that we can see, right? And he, like Top said, just patented the words or trademarked the words telepathy and telekinesis.
How can you do that?
Well, it's because his Neuralink, it's in relation to the Neuralink. So let's say it's like telekinesis, right? How can he trademark telekinesis? Well, if you have an interface in your head that can connect remotely to, like, let's say your keyboard, and you can think about the word that you want to type, and then your keyboard engages it, you could call that
they're
telekinesis.
Features within the app of Neuralink.
Yes, exactly. Features within the app of Neuralink.
Dude, you
hardwire. How often do you say they're hardwiring this shit?
Yeah, the hardwiring mysticism.
Well, we just talked about how they spent all of this time getting small doses of metal in your brain through the vaccine schedule. This guy's going to bypass that, and everyone's going to line up to get this implant in their brain, right? So there's the implant in your brain aspect. There's the telepathy tapes aspect, right? Telepathy, telekinesis. There's the autism aspect. And then there's like one more aspect that's totally fucking bizarre. If anybody doubts this, go on Twitter, type in Elon Polar Shift. And what you will find is a video of him. I guess it's the Nelk Boys podcast. Never listened to him a day in my life, but he's sitting on a sofa with a couple of guys that simply don't fucking get it. It goes all over their head, right?
That's why they're
And
there.
what he's talking about is...
That's why he's there. Exactly.
That's exactly why he's there, right? And what he's talking about is like, well, there's a lot of concerns about like ice ages and the way that the planet will shift. And, it's something that I've really been thinking about. And it's a really deep rabbit hole to go down. You can get lost down there. And they go, oh, yeah? That's cool. And he goes, yeah. So, like, for example, the poles, the magnetic poles, they've shifted in the past before, and they're shifting now. And then he goes on to say, and this is fucking wild to me. I don't know if anybody else finds this wild.
Is it right here?
To say,
is this the one where he's on the Nelk Boys? Wait up, give me a second.
That looks Trump.
Right there,
I was
right?
gonna pull it up, but it's a
That's the
long.
one.
Oh, you found a minute.
Yeah, there's a minute of it.
Go ahead, let that rip.
Johnny has the only one that the audio. I'll send it to you.
Oh
Johnny.
no, he's talking about Jeff Bezos and shit.
Oh, it's
like
not
that.
this
Yeah,
one?
so it's a whole podcast. It's hard to find the clip. I was going to present it here, but it's buried in a clip that's like 8 minutes long, and you got to skip around to get the whole story because of the fucking way that Elon Musk talks. Like, I was like, if we bring this up, it's
like he's got a chip in his brain.
Like he's got a chip in his brain. Like he's really thinking about what these entities are telling him to say. That's the way he fucking talks.
Do you think he already has the chip?
No, we had Isaac Weissman come on saying he thinks he has a chip in.
I believe that. Yeah,
and that he blamed it on hair. That I got this from this new hair transplant. And Isaac goes, I think he's possessed.
I mean that's it. It makes you.
Let's hit that. Let's hit that after. But tell him about the Polish ship. So put a pin in that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that idea. But all right, so he talks about this coming polar shift, or he talks about a polar shift and his concern about it, how it's happened historically and how it seems to be happening now, which is true. If you observe magnetic north and magnetic south, they have deviated from geographical north and south, which is very interesting, right? But what he talks about is he goes, to get away from this, the moon wouldn't even be far enough. You'd have to go to Mars. I'm like, wait a second. So we borrowed a fucking Nazi, right? By the name of Werner von Braun, who creates NASA, who writes a fictional story about a man named Elon that colonizes Mars. Yep. And then all of a sudden, Elon Musk comes along and he's telling you, is he saying that his desire to go to Mars is to avoid this coming polar shift? Because that sounds a lot like what the fuck these aliens are saying. Or it sounds a lot like what the fuck these, Galactic Federation of Light or the Ennead is saying, or any of these entities that people are claiming to channel are all saying the same shit. Now you've got a guy with a perfect device in his head to channel shit. He's everybody's favorite autist. He's fucking trademarking telepathy and telekinesis, and he's worried about a coming polar shift. And it seems to be the reason that he's so obsessed with going to Mars. Like, the whole fucking thing is a Netflix movie. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't write a better script than that. It all is a gigantic closed circle from the Nazi regime all the way to Elon Musk. It's all a big incestual loop. It's fucking insane. I couldn't believe sitting there listening to him talk about a coming polar shift. Like I said, we just talked to a woman named Fringe who's telling us she's being abducted for her entire life. By the way, she's not like your run-of-the-mill crazy person. She was a career police officer, and so was her husband. And she just is struggling with the fact that she has these memories and seems to be constantly being abducted by these entities who are imparting this story on her of a coming polar shift. It's woven into the narrative that we're seeing unfold right now. And it's part of, I think it's going to be part of the UAP disclosure that we keep getting kind of like we're edging, like they keep jerking us off and then we're about to come and they're like, no, not anymore, baby. Like this thing that keeps coming, this UFO disclosure, it's integrally tied into that narrative.
Yeah, I mean, it all lines up. That whole thing doesn't make any sense. All of it lines up and totally makes sense. And it's really crazy to me that nobody even understands what's happening.
Well, we have a new thing emerging, which is
bold. They've gotten so bold with the narrative that like I've mentioned Operation Stargate or Project Stargate a number of times. That happened in the 70s. That was like the remote viewing psychic espionage shit that was happening with Russia, and they're looking at files and they're looking at where they're keeping their tanks, right? It's just like this astral projection and remote viewing that they were messing with. Dude. But underneath that, they were also doing CE5 channeling. We call it CE5 now, but that's what they were doing with Ouija boards. Oh my God,
Top, we got to talk about the CE5 thing and what we learned recently with that email.
So basically, telepathic communication is dark arts whispering.
Yeah. But now what's happened now is we've just started a new project or Operation Stargate to the tune of $500 billion.
$500 billion, right?
The day that Trump stepped into office, he was like $500 billion to whichever AI tech CEO can get this thing going. And I've been
talking about that, dude, on the last episode, I believe, or one of these episodes coming up. I don't think China is the enemy that they're being made out to be. I think this is USSR propaganda that we use against the Russians to make them seem like we were in a fucking battle for nuclear supremacy. And they propped up Russia as some fucking angry bear so they could scare Americans. And it was all about proliferation of nuclear war. Now, I'm not necessarily based on the nuclear bomb dropped in World War II. I don't necessarily buy into that, but that doesn't mean they haven't come up with something since. But I think that's the exact same thing that's being used with the Chinese right now, in that we have to have no restrictions on our AI so that we fucking can keep up with China. And then all these stories coming out of China is that their population isn't what they thought it was, and that their fucking economy isn't what we think it is. And then we call those people crazy and liars and controlled op. But that is the exact same play that was used in the Cold War.
I think even worse than that, man, it's like the use and the proliferation of AI, like the chatbots that we're talking to. What is this thing that we're actually talking to? And I think like one of the questions I constantly ask, and I haven't received a good answer to, but why does the Ouija board, I guess they're moving away a little bit from making boards. Why do they have an app that is just an AI chatbot? Like, is that just, are they just lazy, or are you actually talking to something on the other side of this? Why are we in such a rush to create this singularity with this AI? And why does it overlap so nicely with the channeling that we were doing with Operation Stargate in the 70s? Why did we name it the same thing? Because like when I look at the Ouija board, I look at these techniques of channeling that they were doing back then, and I look at AI, it seems like the same exact thing to me. But they're like very bold in your face with it now. They didn't even change the name. They brought it back. They're funding it like crazy. We have an autistic guy and a gay dude who are just vying over this government money to see who can create the fastest AI or who can channel the quickest. And I'm like, where are we heading? And
well,
how
by the way,
cares?
Elon said it himself. We're summoning the demon, right? He even used that language. I think it's with the Neuralink. One of the biggest things you have to be afraid of are spiritual rights. So just to put it simply for people, it's like Jesus Christ fulfilled a prophecy, and his blood liberated us and also gave us rights over serpents and scorpions, right? Meaning we have authority through the name of Jesus Christ over the spiritual realm. And that for people that are like, what? It's like casting out demons in the name of Jesus Christ, right? So these things have very limited access to us. The way that they can possess us or influence us at all is because we're so retarded that we constantly give consent to them. This is all consent based, right? This is all legalese. They have to be invited
in. The head Dracula. You got
exactly right. That's the whole vampire thing. You have to invite them in. Well, what happens when they have rights over, like, let's say a technology, right? And we're talking, let's say, like, fine print, like, do you understand the terms and conditions kind of a deal? So if they have rights over the technology and then the technology is implanted in your mind, what then do they have rights over? Do they have permanent occupation? Can you cast that out? Because you're not casting it out of your flesh anymore. It is just augmented. It's on you. It's in you, but it is localized to this device that's in your head, which, as far as I'm concerned, wouldn't be surprised if they have all the rights in the world to occupy that, right? Jesus didn't come and die for the sins of artificial intelligence so that artificial intelligence couldn't be influenced and couldn't be corrupted by these demons. It seems like almost a workaround, like a back door.
Yes. I agree, dude. I totally agree. You could, there's probably a demon cleaning up my tweets on Twitter. And he's like, damn, I'm a demon, but you're a retard.
I'll tell you what, though, it's going to be the most. I've gotten to the point, I don't know about you, Sam. It's like, I'm not black-pilled. Obviously, I believe in Jesus Christ, so you can't be black-pilled. But I'm also not. People say shit to you. They're like, how could you look at this all the time? Like, isn't it depressing? I'm like, I don't know if I would call it depressing. Something in me is broken. I find it the most fascinating shit in the world.
I hate being lied to. That's my biggest thing. I don't want to be lied to. I want to know exactly what's going on. But here's something very interesting. So I saw somebody talking about how are there people out there that don't have an inner voice? And you go, well, what does that mean? And then you kind of go back to these orphan trains. And then you go, are these people the descendants of cloned babies?
Interesting.
That never, right? That's super interesting.
Oh, man.
I just screw with people that buy everything hook, line, sinker and have no ability to think for themselves. Are they just the offspring of these cloned people?
They're NPCs.
Top, I know where you're about to go, and it's a very important place. I just want to say this really quick.
Oh, look, they did it right here on the show. Whoa.
What's that?
You said whoa.
You knew where he was going.
I talked to this guy.
And they're friends, too. They're really close.
Whisper.
It's real.
Trojan horsing us, I see.
Look, so
bastards.
There's a great example of everything that we just laid out, right? Entities, and they're talking about saving us, they're talking about spiritual ascension and all that gay shit. It's happening right now. And it's going viral on TikTok, right? So there's a lady.
Oh, yeah.
Some people might have seen this, so the audience listening this might ring a bell. So there's a lady who's on TikTok. She tells you a story basically about how it was many years ago. I don't know if it was 20, but it was a long time ago. Her and her husband fucked around with a Ouija board and came into contact with something that they remained in contact with for like a fucking decade.
Save 7 on TikTok if you're
Save
interested.
7, yeah. Look her up, because everything that we said here on this episode, if you watch all her videos through this context, you're going to fucking shit a brick. All right. So what happens is, long story short, in contact with an entity, prolonged contact for years and years, it identifies itself as 7 of the 9, right? And 7 is talking about
that's what it says. 7 of 9. And I'm
like Star Trek?
What?
Yes. Yeah. Where do you think that came from, dog?
Star
Where do you
Trek,
think the 7 of 9 came from in Star Trek? The 9? Yeah. So, okay.
Whoa.
And what is 7 saying? It's saying that humanity has to spiritually ascend, but it is imperative that we overcome a impending calamity, some sort of a disaster that's going to befall Earth. We have to deviate from it, and they're going to help us deviate from it.
It's interesting. It's interesting because we were supposed to do this show a couple of weeks ago, but I think like the schedule got messed up, and we're doing it now. This impending calamity that she's been hearing from this 7 of 9 for like 20 years, her and her husband. She's got Google Docs. You can go read them. You can watch the videos. The date, she's put a date to it. It's the 27th of this month.
Well, yeah.
This is coming back viral again, which is like, we saw it recently a couple of days ago, but we've been following it for a while.
How many days do we got? 6?
6.
Oh,
right
God,
before
live your
Bohemian
life.
Grove? Come on.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We'll have a lot to talk about at Bohemian Grove, but this thing, it keeps showing up, man. This is something that anybody could look up. We didn't just pull this out of our ass. Why the hell does this woman have the exact same narrative as us, except it's a little bit fucking askewed because she thinks this thing is the good guy and it's going to save us. And she's saying all the things that we just said on this episode. Coming calamity, all that shit. It's the same thing. It is the rebranding. They're rebranding in a way that's like they're our saviors. And they're also responsible for our spiritual ascension, right? And also, we can ascend and what? Be as gods.
The lie
it's the same fucking lie from the garden, baby. It's the same lie.
And I think, Johnny, you'll be a fan of this idea because it's like it's super easy to track down. The same lie in the garden, you can be as gods.
Yeah. False.
The second thing, there is a hybrid breeding program going on from the days of the Nephilim, procreating with the females or the daughters of man. And then you have the alien breeding program, which is like they're taking sperm, they're implanting. I mean, Karen Wilkinson, Vicky Joy Anderson, you talk to any of these people, they'll tell you their stories. And it's like there's multiple. L.A. Marzulli, he has like a line of these people that are just
they're called the black-eyed children, which, by the way, how do they communicate? Telepathically. So you got more weird kids that communicate telepathically.
Cloning, you got, and this is another thing, Elon Musk with this fucking cloning program. I don't think he's having sex with these bitches at all. Dude, look at how awkward this guy is. He's got all these kids all over the place. Ashley St. Clair, yeah, right. Like, this is a breeding program. The CEO of Neuralink, he has a contractual agreement with her to have his babies. I don't know what the fuck that means to anybody else. But yeah, so the people that are going to put the chip in your head have a contractual agreement with each other to procreate children. And we know that he has proclivity to use things like IVF with his first wife after the death of his first son. They're using IVF for designer babies. And I think that he's continued this process. I don't know what this guy is after, but it looks like a breeding. Everything looks like a breeding program.
Which
everything
is
looks like
Jeffrey Epstein as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yep. Zorro Ranch. That's right. This is so it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? I'm sorry, but what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing out here? It's like
the
it's
pattern.
constant.
John of God, right? You remember that guy in Brazil? And he was just impregnating women.
Yeah, it's the Mexicans and Satanists are outbreeding us. It's a real problem.
Wasn't John of God doing the same shit? Oprah Winfrey's homie with the Save the Women Foundation. He's doing a breeding program as well.
In 1 year, they got arrested and tried for child sex trafficking directly associated with the Clintons.
Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
The Varelian cult with it's the Jewish star with the Nazi symbol inside, which of course it's just like, Jewish star is as above, so below. And the Nazi symbol represents the North Star and the pattern in which it goes. Very powerful symbols.
Or the Dipper, actually. The Dipper.
The Big Dipper, yeah. So it's like powerful astrological symbols and metaphysical.
They demonize, so we can't look at them.
Yeah, they invert them. That's what they do. They invert.
You can use them. They're powerful. You can use them. So when you put them both together, you put them in a cult that is specifically about worshiping the Elohim, which Elohim is just a classification. God, the angels, the fallen, the ones that are still up there are all Elohim. There is one on top. Thou shalt take no gods before me. That means there is a capital G. The rest are lowercase. It's an entity. And this is what they're worshiping. They're saying you could watch the Netflix and, it's a sex cult. Of course, it always goes to a sex cult, but they're singing their songs with their guitar about the Elohim coming down and blessing us. Also, on the other side of it, they're just running a cloning program. Like this is like, it's fucking wild. And I'm like, oh, just by the way, like again, Netflix is like, yeah, can you believe this guy fucked all these guys' wives? Also, he's cloning babies. They're just trying to clone.
We're not high-ranking intellectuals here. We're low-thinking pattern recognizers. We're retarded, right? But we recognize patterns. And when I see hybridization program,
when I see Jewish people,
when I see the Jews, when I see the hybridization program, appearing in so many different instances, when I see the channeling of entities that are warning about calamities in so many different instances, when I see children who are subjected to some form of trauma and they're disassociating and they're coming up with magical psychic powers in so many different instances, I'm recognizing these fucking patterns. It's the same thing, dog. It's all part of the same thing. I think we're getting ready to be served up like this great big narrative.
We're constantly like that's the frustrating part. And thanks for having us on, because like, I want to put this out there, not as like, this is our research, like don't fucking touch. I'm putting it out there because like we're touching this thing. I'm constantly touching this volleyball, and it's like the volleyball spinning in the water, and you can't quite get it to like stay straight or grab it, and it's just kind of this is what is going on. I'm getting to look at all the sides of it, all the colors of the volleyball, and I'm like, this volleyball fucking sucks. But I need to know why, and I can't
You know what this
really
is?
figure it out.
It's really a call to arms. We talked to Isaac Weissep, love that dude, and when we laid this out for him, he had so much to contribute to it that confirmed it. We talked to Ryder Lee. When we laid this out for him, he had so much to contribute to it to flesh it out. Every time we talk to a homie about it, they have pieces of the puzzle. There are people that are listening to this right now who are freaking the fuck out because this is so prolific. There's no doubt in my mind, Sam, that you have fans who are abductee victims. So that means that right now there are people that are hearing our voice who are freaking the fuck out because they were abducted by aliens and the aliens said the exact same shit that we just said.
And they
right now on
drank
your
the
show.
pink drink.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
dog.
pink drink. That's right. Don't drink the pink
Sipping
drink.
on that
Pink
scissor.
drinker over here.
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
So, I
anything
mean,
about that.
honestly, what I want to say is if you're listening to this, if you're a content creator who's listening to this, if you're somebody who's experienced this, if you're somebody that has a piece of the puzzle,
Buy
reach out.
tickets to Bohemian Grove.
Really quickly. By the way, on the CE5 Stephen Greer shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So obviously he's part of the big UFO disclosure that's coming. We had somebody on our show write in recently where they were trying to astral project and they're looking into the Gates program and they're finding out that the way to astral project is to sync the hemispheres of the brain. And the way to do that is by exposing yourself to binaural beats. And these binaural beats can be tuned to different frequencies. This guy who wrote into us said, I found a frequency that basically, after I listened to it, resulted in nothing but alien abductions, experiences, sleep paralysis, demonic encounters, and poltergeists. And he moved away from it. He stopped fucking doing it.
Can we know what that is so we never go near it?
Yeah, for sure. Stop doing that.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it's a
Binaural
funny.
beats. Binaural beats. So this is crazy.
No, he's
actually.
saying what's the frequency.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I asked him for it, but if he shares it with me, I'm not going to share it with anybody because
Well,
it's
how about
fucking
stay
very
away from
dangerous.
this fucking frequency?
Well, whatever it is, I'm sure we're being exposed to. It's probably happening. I don't know. We're probably watching
Dude,
like,
I was
Love on
in-
the Spectrum, and they're fucking pumping it out to us.
Listen to this, dude. I went on vacation with my wife for our 10th anniversary of marriage. Thank you. Everybody clap.
Yes.
Went to St. Thomas, the worst island in the world. The first place I went to was, it was like a smoke shop. We went in there. In the back, there was a weird club. I met some weird people who were into conspiracy. This
Had some
lady's
weird
telling me
sex.
about, had some weird sex with some weird people. They were telling me about, this woman's telling me about her autodidactic writing where she's just, she's drawing and then she's channeling or downloading and writing. She's showing me the video, what looks like ancient Enochian. And I said, interesting, because I'm very guarded in this place and I'm trying to get information from her. I said, what do you use to channel? Are you on DMT? Are you a mushroom? She said, no, I don't do any drugs. I said, binaural beats? She said, oh yes, binaural beats works well. And it's like just a consistent through line of like, okay,
It's
binaural
right
beats
there.
it's getting you to channel entities that are getting you to write down ancient Enochian or whatever David called it. It's like some kind of weird.
It's the hierarchical numerics. It's a written language that was used by the priest class in Greek or in Greece and Egypt. It's basically something that was exclusive to them.
It's the same. I'm going to find the video and I'll ask her to send me the video. I'll send it to you, Sam. It's the same inscriptions that are written from the guy that's looking through the red laser when he's on DMT. I don't know if you guys are aware
Have you
of this.
seen
dude.
that? Guy takes a laser, does DMT, somehow sees like written code inside the laser.
No.
Yeah. This bitch is
Oh,
writing the
I
same
saw
thing.
that.
I haven't seen that. No.
Yeah, I thought it was fake until we talked to Cult of Conspiracy and they had the guy on. And then I showed them the text, the hierarchical numerics that were found on one of these eggs that they retrieved, this UAP egg that they retrieved from a mountain range. And you could see this text all over it. I showed them the text and they went, that's fucking it. That's the written language that
And
this
it's
guy
the same.
sees.
It's the same thing on this. Again, go to a random island, random place, and meet random person. And of course, this is what I'm presented with. It's just like it's everywhere, and it's like I guess I'm calling it now. Like,
would you say this is something that Ryan Bledsoe does?
Ryan Bledsoe is
The guy that sees the entities. The guy that sees the entities. He brings it whenever he's in the middle of the woods.
It's his dad,
he claims,
right? Chris.
Chris or Ryan. Yeah. That's why I don't know which one the dad is, but the dad's the one who sees the entities.
He's doing CE5. Yeah, he's channeling. He's calling them in. He thinks he obviously thinks much differently than us. He doesn't think that they're
he thinks they're
malevolent
good.
entities.
Yeah, he thinks they're the good guys because they're really
Which
good.
is-
at it.
Well, he is praying to Jesus when he's and thanking Jesus for them and calling on Jesus to bring them down. So
Well, check this out. What's interesting about that CE5 app is that, like I said, this guy that we talked to, he found out that binaural beats of a certain frequency result in poltergeist, alien abduction activity, and demonic encounters, right? So Stephen Greer releases this app, and he's using basically this app to telepathically bring in UFOs. And there's a lot of videos of these things. I'm not doubting that this is the case. He's documenting it. And you see this happen. You see them appear, and it seems like he can call them on command. This guy, and I guess I might be giving away something here, but this guy that found that frequency for himself then went and investigated the CE5 app and found that the binaural beats, which, by the way, is what the CE5 app uses. It uses binaural beats to call in these fucking UFOs, are tuned to the same frequency that he found resulted in abduction, demonic encounters, and sleep paralysis and shit.
Welcoming into darkness, dude. Like, so this guy was just doing Molly all weekend, just tripping his balls off, and he's like at a place they got Moloch and everything. I go, bro, it's insanity. If you go all the way back to Haight-Ashbury, it was just a free range.
Well, that turned out well for all those people. What do you mean?
Well, no, but if you study it, they were all doing amphetamines and psychedelics,
each other, yes.
And now all that corporations do, and particularly CEOs, they're all microdosing and they're on Adderall.
Yes. Dude, by the way, Dr. Jerry Marzinski, who we talked about earlier, he said that in his experience, because he dealt with schizophrenics in a prison system, a lot of them obviously being addicts, he said that the number one drug that he found emulates the symptoms of schizophrenia, meaning, access to you and your psyche by these entities, these voices, is methamphetamine. He says, unlike any other drug, it kicks the door open. Pervitin. Right. Where's that come from?
Used by the Nazis.
Used by the Nazis.
I've said this before, Johnny, on this show, that I was in recovery. I had a problem with speed, and I would drive around when I was looking for drugs, and I would see tweakers, and I'm like, they look possessed, dude. They look like they're possessed by an entity.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting, though, that the Nazi regime is all on Pervitin, which is essentially methamphetamine, and it closes the circle again? It's like it all goes, it's the fucking Nazis to 2025, and that is just one giant closed loop of all the same themes.
Hitler, as much of a great guy as Hitler was, he's documented as saying he doesn't do anything without consulting this voice, and this voice is called Providence. Yeah. This voice has gotten him out of near-death situations. Any kind of war tactics or maneuvers, he says, I do not move until Providence says so.
Do you think Providence told him to sell his ass way back in the day when he was a boy hooker?
He almost got hit by a missile, and he writes that the voice told him very clearly to step over to the fucking left, and he gets up and does it, and all of a sudden the homies that he were just hanging out with get missiled. They get fucking blown to smithereens.
I also think there's some Paul Bunyan shit about Hitler too that they tried to sell son.
Yeah, did that voice tell him to invade Russia? I wonder.
Well, let me tell you. I tend to believe the voice thing because Providence is, it's used to describe God's universe, right? Like the immaculate nature of God's universe. But in Greek mythology, they attribute that creationism to Zeus. So Providence is associated with Zeus. And if you look at the Nazi regime, they're surrounded by Zeus iconography, right? Like obviously the lightning bolts and obviously the eagle. Do a quick Google search. Anybody can say, what's the number one animal associated with Zeus? It's the fucking eagle.
It's so crazy when, it's like, I'm all for like the Kanye song. It's fucking hilarious. I love the message it sends, but then people get real serious and they're like, and that's why we should all hail Hitler for real.
That's why I fucks with Hitler.
Hitler was an occultist, dude. He was
a scumbag.
Yeah.
He was a British spy.
He was deeply obsessed with finding all these artifacts, these occult artifacts, and they had a tremendous
Holy
collection.
Grail, Spear of Destiny.
And then you get into Thor with Marvel. We've had JT loves JC breaking that down. That basically Thor is Zeus.
Yeah. So, all right. So check this out. People will go, because he had lightning bolts and an eagle. Like, that's fucking everything. We have eagles, right, on our dollar bills and quarters and shit.
Good.
Yeah.
The Zeppelin Tribune Grounds, which is the Tribune Fairgrounds. That's where Hitler gave his most influential speeches from. When he commissioned the artist to design the Zeppelin Tribune Fairgrounds, that artist went to the Berlin Museum and drew all of his inspiration for the design from the Temple of Zeus that was found in Turkey. Turkey used to be ancient Pergamum. And in Pergamum, that's where the Bible says the throne of Satan is, right? So this guy is surrounded by Zeus iconography to the extent that he decides to give his most influential speeches from a place that was designed after a temple that was dedicated to Zeus. And I'm supposed to believe that this guy was not.
They use stones from the temple.
They use stones from the temple to build it.
Well, you can see it in their plans for, they were going to turn Berlin into Germania was the idea, this new city. It was going to be like, and they got some of the pieces built, but not, the scope of what they had planned. And it all looks like it was inspired by that era.
Yeah, and it's like, so people will go, oh, well, he was into whatever the Germanic tribes were into. So they're doing all this like Norse mythology worshiping. But if you go to Nephilim Death Squad, our contention is that these are all the same characters. They are the fallen, right? And so they're interchangeable. If you go to ancient Sumerian, you have Hadad Baal, right? In ancient Sumeria. Hadad Baal is described as the king of storms. And he is depicted as holding, it basically just looks like 3 lightning bolts in his fist, right? If you look at an ancient Sumerian picture of Hadad Baal, it's the same fucking characters. They just, rebrand. That's what the name of the game is. All of this is a constant rebranding.
Yep, I totally agree with you.
All designed by Albert Speer, another guy that completely got away with it.
They often do, don't they?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
It's crazy because they can write. They have their writings and they'll tell you like all their plans. And those writings
if you
are still
study
accessible.
Hitler, his ascension is the exact same with all of these fucking closeted gay guys. They give up holes and then they get positions of power. It's totally it. It's just like they have him in what is the name of that that institute we talked that kicked off MKUltra, Johnny? Tavistock. There's a painting of him in Tavistock. And what they always do with everything with that narrative that does not fit the narrative, they always tell you it's not real. It's not true.
It's Jewish propaganda.
It's like with the Hitler, with the Rothschild thing. Right? If you get in the real quick, sorry, Top. When you get into the Rothschild thing, it wasn't the OSS or the therapist that came up with that. It was his fucking niece he was molesting. I mean, like, dude, you can get into all of it. It's like,
even the person that's saying he's talking to the voice that's named Providence, that's his sister-in-law. In her writing, she's talking about that.
It's like, dude, that's my whole thing with, like, I don't like Hitler. I think Hitler was a sellout piece of shit that was brought in to destroy Germany from the inside. And
let me ask you this. Do you think that it's a coincidence that we keep highlighting how all of this shit, MKUltra, the UFOs, everything started with the Nazis and then, Operation Paperclip. And then I think we perfected it here. And we're coming to the summation of all of that hard work and effort. And we are also in a Nazi and Hitler appreciation renaissance.
It's so crazy. And you listen to people like Leonardo, who I love. She's like, I'll come on debate all the time. I'm like, I mean, it would be.
Leonardo knows her shit, but she knows her shit in what I think is a second layer of deception. And that second layer of deception
she's new
is basically
to it.
like
she's
Europa.
a new comic. She's new to it. And she's great. I love her.
She crushes.
I consider her a very close friend. So I don't want her to think I'm speaking ill will of her. But it's like, for you to believe Hitler was this fucking thing that was fighting this cabal is like, especially when Germany was on lockdown and we had, you guys are much better names than me. I forget who the guest we just had on was, but he was basically stating that like he replaced the Jewish bankers with Aryan bankers who did the exact same thing that the Jewish bankers were doing. It's all a game to be played so that they can eventually get. And all Israel is about is the British Empire and the Babylonian bankers controlling trade routes. It has nothing to do with the Abrahamic religions. They're just using that as fucking middle management to do all the dirty work for them. Like if you go, Hitler was this great guy, but why did he give them everything they wanted in the end? A destroyed Germany and the fucking beginnings to control the roots of the Middle East.
Is she really saying that? But I haven't heard her talk about this. Is she really saying like he was a force for good?
I don't want to put words into her mouth because she's my friend. I don't want her to think this is speaking ill will of her because I love her very much. And I'm a big fan of what she's doing. But you've heard
what she said.
But we've had discussions on it. And she has said she will come on and debate people. And I'm not against it. I just don't want screaming matches, which I don't think it would be with her. But there's many guests I'd have on that would love to debate her on this theory that, as we know, all these motherfuckers are controlled op. Why would he be any fucking different?
I think the question that people need to ask themselves is like, is he a good guy? And I like, don't jump to that narrative, man. This is like, you're talking about the 30s. We don't know this person. We don't know anything about them.
Sometimes they're all bad guys.
All
There's
of them
no
are
good
bad.
guys. They think it's binary, good versus evil. Maybe it's just evil versus more evil.
Well, I would say that we've been programmed to want a strong man right now.
Yep.
It's
That's
fallen
Trump.
versus fallen. You know, it's like these entities over different localities vying for what they're going to do next. And it's like, that's kind of how I see it going on. But I also see it as like I agree with a lot of what they're saying is like, is this problem in America, this JQ stuff that gets a lot of people in trouble, is this a real problem? Yeah, dude, it's a real problem. This is a knot that needs to be untied. But when it gets untied, you've got to be careful how we move forward with this narrative, because if you move forward with therefore Nazi good, it's almost like, is that where you want us to end up? But like, certainly we need to take the fangs out of this.
That's my opinion on the people who are anti diversity in the sense of that, our diversity is our biggest strength. It really is. Like, I go to like very like homogenous populations, and you just look around and it's all the same people. When you come
and the
to
food sucks. Yeah.
When you go to LA, it's everybody. When they weaponize it, that's when the problem comes.
Yes.
When
you know what it is? It's like, if you have all these different ethnicities and cultures in one place, that's fine. We could all get along, but it then results in a lack of cultural cohesion. And if you're talking about the fabric of America,
convincing people to hold on to their old, come here from another country that sucked, and then set up shop here as a country you just left. No, it's like why I don't know Armenian is because my great grandparents came here, and you were meant to assimilate into the culture. Yeah. You can bring your things in, but you're supposed to add it. You're not supposed to exclude what was already here. And that's the weaponization I'm talking about. When you weaponize, when you're like, I remember meeting when I was very young in comedy, me and Brett Ernst were headlining the La Jolla Comedy Store, and two sisters came over. One sister was drop dead gorgeous, and one was not. But it ended up ending bad for everybody because all they kept saying was like, they were born here in America. Mexico, I love Mexico. Mexico's the greatest. Mexico's better. Mexico this. Fuck America. I'm like, then why don't you go to Then they would tell me stories about going to Mexico and being treated like shit until they found out they were Americans. And I'm like, then why don't you go there? It's, Adam Carolla talks about it all the time.
Don't let Cat Stevens find out about you saying that. Did you see that rant he did during his show?
What?
Cat Stevens going off on those people who were talking about how much they love Mexico during his show, and he just lost it. It's like, go back to Mexico, motherfucker.
Yeah, Cat Stevens is all over. He's one of the greatest singers you'll ever be blessed to hear. Was deep into Islam, dropped that. Now he's like,
it's a wild scene though. He had like 5 hot half naked chicks he's in the round. First of all, he's doing a show in the round with like 5 hot chicks just around him. There's a bunch of like brass statues on.
He's all over the place. Dude. That's what happens when you're too famous too long. You just can't relate to anybody. But there is something about coming here and just creating what you ran from.
Yeah, like Sharia law. Like these people want to come and institute Sharia law. Dude.
But Mexicans do that to a point, and ethnic groups do that because they come here and they get those half a wages because they're cheap labor, and they all have to live 90 people to a fucking apartment.
Yeah, it's miserable.
And then the media tells them that the white man is their fucking problem.
But they're not also like, because they can't speak the language, they end up being ostracized in some weird way. But my family came here. My family came from Armenia after the genocide and set up shop and assimilated in. You have to do that. I just want to say
to people, like, if you don't think that that's a valuable thing to assimilate, if you look at American culture like a fabric, right, the fabric of American culture, and it's a very strong fabric and it's hard to rip it. If it gets ripped apart, then America falls, right? If you don't have cultural cohesion, then what you end up with is a bunch of fucking holes in that fabric.
Yeah,
and then anybody that seeks to subvert you comes along, and they got a leverage point to stick their fingers in and rip that hole apart. That is the entire purpose of that.
Well, I think what was crazy is my parents. My parents got their citizenship, the test, and they had the option to take it in Spanish. Even I was like, come on, that's got to be in English. My dad was gonna have a hard time. He took it in Spanish, but I was up there where I was like, dude, come on, you've been here for how long?
Assimilate in. You can root for Mexico. Like, I'm happy when Italy does well, and I root for Armenia and anything. But I'm American, dude, and he's like that fucking dumb bitch who was in like Luging or whatever. She's from America. Her family ran from China. She was the #1 female loser out there, and she represented China. That's treasonous. Get the fuck out of here. Go live in China where they fucking killed all the females. Top, what'd you want to
I was just gonna say, like, because it gets into like weird racist territory, but I'm like, how come these guys are like preserving their bloodlines to the point of inbreeding mental retardation and physical retardation? But like, we're, you know, every time I see a commercial, it's like it's a black guy, a white girl, Chinese baby, or some shit. It's like something's weird about that, and I don't know what that means.
It's subversion, dude. It's subversion.
Dude. I was on a fucking cruise and they have whatever they have, you know, running. It's like cable television. I don't have cable. I don't know how they have it on the cruise. We're in the Gulf America, by the way.
Gulf America.
And we're still getting this reception, right? But I'm watching this. I never watch cable television. I'm watching this and it's like you're watching Naked and Afraid. They go to a fucking commercial break and all of a sudden it's an ad for pharmaceuticals, and it's like, do you have eczema? Take this fucking thing. It might give you ass cancer. You might have a stroke. You might go blind. You might shit your pants, but whatever. It's good for you. And in the video, as they're listing off all of the horrifying symptoms, it's people holding hands and skipping, but the people are always, every single fucking time, morbidly obese or what is it? A cultural mix. You know, it's a black dude and a white chick, or it's a lesbian couple, but it's a white chick and an Asian lady. It's the most insane propaganda, and I'm looking at this and I'm laughing. And then what comes on right after that is like, hey, fucking download Chime or the Dave app and borrow money. Money. So it's like, take pharmaceuticals, borrow money. Take pharmaceuticals, borrow money. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
No,
and
100%.
All of the people.
If you saw if you saw the NBA, if you watch the NBA playoffs, every commercial now is gay guys with some kind of disease holding hands, and then a show about an anorexic bitch beating up everybody. That is every
I love
fucking
those.
commercial.
That's my favorite.
Every commercial. She's a 90 pounds and she just high kicked this fucking 300-pound Russian in the face and he's devastated. And it's just like, it's subversion. It's subversion. It's subversion. It's meant to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to give you anxiety. It's meant for you to go, what the fuck is that? And that's what we get into, the Federal Reserve funding everything, and it's the false reality projected onto our God's reality.
I think it's meant for us to call for Hitler.
Yeah, no shit. That's not, dude. That sounds like a joke. I fucking think he's right.
It's Nazi shit, and we're like, just I mean, it would be a nice clean transition right back into Nazi Germany, where they would whatever they were doing, they stopped in the 40s. Pick it up right here. That's what it feels like to me.
How often do you hear espoused nowadays?
Yes.
Weimar, what is it? Weimar conditions
Republic.
Require Weimar solutions. I think we were engineered to get to this point where we could be sympathetic to the rise of the Nazi regime once again. I know that sounds fucking crazy.
I don't think it sounds crazy at all. I hear people saying all the time now, to a disturbing degree, that we need a single strong man leading the country all the time on Twitter.
And the crazy thing, Johnny, I think we do, right? Like, it's like, well, what's the solution here? Like, they've even put me, knowing all this stuff, the last time I was on with you guys was the election day, and I was like, I'm going to vote for fucking Trump, because I was like, this has just gone too far. And I know that this is like a psyop on a psyop. We were on the show previously talking about how we think he faked the shot on himself during that assassination attempt. But I'm like, enough is enough already. Like, I can't raise kids in this shit. Like, we have to put the brakes on. And it's like, you're making me beg for a solution that is not ideal, but I have to take it.
No, you're totally right. We're basically having the Nazis. We're begging the Nazis to save us from the Bolsheviks.
And it's the same.
What do we do?
Right?
What do we do, Sam? Like, how much longer can we actually sustain this? Like, if you have your boot on, if
you're
you have
doing
the boot
it, dude,
on my
your
neck,
show is doing it. That's how you win. You
Well,
show
look,
people brave enough that you can talk about
we talk about
and then you plant the little
Jesus
seed.
Christ is the way, the truth, and life.
The
you have
truth,
to focus
but
on him.
the plant of doubt in their head grows, and then it becomes undeniable to them. And every one of my friends, and like I have great friends who are the biggest names in comedy, and they all say to me, you were right about everything. You were right. And I used to get in arguments with these people, loving arguments. I would never like lose a friendship over any of this shit, but they've pulled me aside and go, you were right about fucking everything. And I go, yeah, dude, I'm still ostracized. I'm still hated on YouTube. I'm still hated in this fucking town because I shit in their birthday cake.
Talk to Aaron Cater any lately? He's the only one.
Yeah, we do.
Really? Is he coming to you like
connected.
that?
He went off to do his own thing. But yeah, we
was a good one.
We talked and we buried the hatchet.
That's good to hear.
It's such a hard line to walk, and I thank you. I thank you for this fucking show, man. I've been listening to the show since Wake Up, Aaron, like back in the day. And it's like it taught me like a lot of like you learn shit, and then I go and I yell at my coworkers or my family. I was like, "Don't you know that the moon is fake?" And they're like, they walk away from me, and I was like, "That's not how we do it." And then, but I'm able to go back. Luckily, before I like had like any sort of a platform and like practice how to talk to people about this stuff, because it's like it's important that we do talk to these people, but express it in a way. And it's like sales. It's tricky.
Yeah.
I use comedy.
Yeah.
I use sarcasm. I often don't. I can't tell people my motives for what I want them to think or where I want them to end up. But like, dude, honestly, like that's what we have to do at this point. It's like
You know what the
guerrilla
most
warfare.
powerful thing is, Top? Is when I present somebody an idea that I know is true and they push back on it, you know what the most powerful thing to say to them? I swear to God, it works every time. Okay.
Maybe you're right.
That's what you want to
Like, oh, you
believe.
think that?
Okay. And then they get like, what? Because what they're looking for is the war.
Combat.
They feed off that fucking war. And when you don't want to fight them, they're like, well, how come you don't want to fight? And then they start to listen. But the biggest thing, I'm done convincing people. This episode, the last episode we did, 99% of the population is not going to understand the things that we are saying right now.
Correct. And
but
to add to the things that they're not going to understand, by the way, I've been thinking
I
about
suck my
this.
cousin's dick.
Suck my cousin's dick. Bro. Sometimes you suck your cousin's dick. He's a wonderful guy. I've been thinking about this. This isn't a popular line of thought at all, but it's like, why are they warning about a coming calamity? And why is it a polar shift? Why is that such a big deal? Is that really going to happen? And should we be worried about that? And then I realized, like, what if I believe at the root of this is all the fallen. And what if they're trying to avoid judgment? What if they're trying to avoid the tribulation? What if that's what and I'm not saying that that's what this is, and it kind of almost sounds doom and gloom, but it's like we're trying to slow this train down on the tracks. We're trying to turn it around. We're trying to tell people some shit. So, I'm not trying to wake anybody up. I'm just doing this for the love of the truth. That's why I do this. But what if that's what it is, dude? Like, we're talking about something that could flatten all the mountains and submerge all the islands and change the face of the earth. We're talking about something that looks a lot like the way that the tribulation is described. And I've just been thinking about that lately. Like, what if that's what the fuck this is? What if we're rearing up on actual end times? And I know everybody always thinks
Shout out to Ed Mabry, because I know you guys are. I like the little season topic as well. But yeah, that's like to me what David just mentioned there, the biblical prophecy of like every mountain being flattened. It's not a joke. Every mountain being flat, every range being destroyed, the earth unrecognizable. That's not the case right now. So there are a couple of things that fall flat, but I think maybe you might be able to shine some light on that stuff.
Yeah, you're supposed to come on and talk about it. Guys, you crushed it. We had 2 incredible episodes today, and they were great. Food, great nourishment for our minds. One more time, Bohemian Grove, and then push anything you guys want.
Guys,
Go to
go to Bro Grove. That's what it is, brogrove.com.
Or Top Lobsta. Yeah.
Look at that.
And Top Lobster. Yeah. We got Nephilim Death Squad, Dangerous Retards. Anything else?
Fuck, man. We do a lot. Tower Gang, obviously, very important. Gang. We started off talking about Toad. Tower Gang is going to be on tonight, and I don't know when this episode is going to air, but it's every Wednesday.
Nephilim Death Squad is like, that's where we like preach to the masses about this kind of stuff, like more serious. And Tower Gang has been the vehicle for moving culture in a very weird way. A lot of people don't like it, but it's effective.
It's important.
And it's our burden.
It's very important.
It's our burden.
It is. It is, and it's like you need to have the woke, and you need to have the fucking scorchers, because they balance each other out into this nice medium of like where we need to have. I've always said this. We need to live in a conservative culture with an old school liberal rebellion. It's not, it can't go the other way around. We've already tried it. You had all your shots. You were given everything you wanted to fucking do, and the wheels fucking fell off. Okay? We need conservatism with the liberal rebellion that allows fucking outlaws to flourish, And that's how it needs to go. And if, again, society needs to have 4 things in order to function. It needs to fucking outlaw stealing, unnecessary violence. We must protect children at all costs, and we must shame lying. And one side has been trying to erode 3 of those, all 4 of those at all costs. And those are the people that we must, those are the Bolsheviks, and they want you to fucking have a Nazi view of how to take them down. And I think at the end of the day, love is all of it. Guys, great show. Great show.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having us, man.
You guys are some of the best guests we have on the show, and let's break it down. Damn!
Yeah.
Was that fire or pure fire? What'd you guys think?
When do they come on and not bring fire?
Yeah, then the Nephilim Death Squad guys are the best.
Love
the
those
Tower
guys.
Gang is one of the best podcasts out there.
They work, dude. Those guys work hard. They're always like doing live spaces on Twitter and stuff. I'm like, damn.
They're hustling.
Yeah.
They went to the Sam Tripoli School of Hustle, and they know how to do it. Talk shit in mass volume. That's how we do it. I've been thinking a lot about my career lately.
Oh, no.
And there's some people I know there's like, oh, it just didn't happen for me. Oh, it happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. I can't act. I'm functionally illiterate. Imagine being Francis Bacon and coming back and flunking first grade, being functionally illiterate and not being able to add. How did I write Shakespeare, you fucking retards?
You think he'd be okay with driving a Mitsubishi?
Yeah, do you think Francis Bacon drives a Mitsubishi, bro? No.
For whatever mental illness that they haven't come up with a name for yet that you have, you are definitely the highest functioning, most successful
I'm a high
person with
functioning,
that.
mentally ill person. So we're just banging it, dude. That's all we do is we bang it out, and that's what those guys are doing. I'm going to take credit for creating more monsters.
I mean, bro, the Bohemian Grove, that sounds like a little bit like something you would have created back in the day.
Well, I was there when it was created. So, and this is why I am where I am, and this is why other people are where they are. Like, I always say Tom Segura and Christina Pajinski are Sam Tripoli if he was organized and intelligent. You know, like they are organized, hardworking people. The Legion of Skanks, I mean, again, we totally kissed Louis A. Gomez, excuse me. And he deserves it, dude. He is
Is that a thing now?
What?
Louis A. Is he doing that?
No, it's always been that. I'm supposed to say that. I forgot to say it.
Is it a joke or something?
No, that's his. He wants you to say.
What's Jay? What happened?
Louis J. Sorry. Louis J. Gomez.
Oh, I thought. Okay.
No.
So you
Thank you for saving me.
All right.
I fucked up like I always fuck up my life. But Louis J. Gomez is a master.
What had you been calling it? Louis? Were you calling him Louis A. Gomez?
No, I was like, I missed it, and then I went with J.A. sounds a lot alike.
Okay.
And I messed it up. But Louis J. Gomez is a master at podcasting.
Yes.
And he knows how to create great brands, and he's really great at it. And it looks like the Nephilim Death Squad guys, the Tower Gang guys are the same thing. They're doing. People have been talking forever, and yes, our friend Steve from I'm not going to fuck up his last name. Steve Poikinen did it with his Carnival, Third Eye Carnival, and these guys are doing it with Bohemian Grove, and it's going to be a huge success and a lot of fun, and that's why they're going to be successful, because they know how to create brands and monetize it and do it right. And this episode was absolute fire. I mean, dude. I really sometimes, guys, wonder if we will get to the point where we talked about it all. And the last 2 episodes made me think, no, it's an endless well that you will always learn something new. And the telepathy being the dark arts whispers, I mean, I never, ever thought about that. And it's so incredible and it's so deep and they're so knowledgeable and well-spoken about it, and that it was really an amazing episode. I mean, so many truth bombs being dropped right there. But, it goes back to, what I say all the time. Johnny doesn't believe, but
You're gay.
My psychic ability of calling out things before I know what they are. And I've been saying this for fucking ever. They have hardwired mysticism. This is what they did. They've been doing it for years. They have unlimited funding because of fractional reserve banking, and they've got it, and now they're putting metals in us.
Now that they've equated it to like some nefarious stuff, I actually believe you probably do have some kind of telepathy now. So
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you.
you're possessed by
just because
Unbelievable.
brain demons.
You're
in
now
you.
second seat. You're third seat.
now that it has to do with autism, you're like, oh, now I can see maybe he does got some psychic in him.
I do believe that my father is the oldest living autistic person. That's what my honest belief is, because he has all of the traits of an autistic person. Yeah, man, it is like they want us to 100% demand that Nazis come curb stomp Bolsheviks. That's exactly what they're looking for. And each side wants their own fascism to be applied to the other side. And when it happens, they're like, yay! And you're like, well, it's going to be used against you eventually. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yep.
That they're going to use it against you.
Yes.
And that was a great example of it. And then they try to rebrand telepathy as like some kind of super skill. I mean, think about the X-Men, Dr. Xavier. He can read your minds. Like, oh, he's so powerful.
Professor X.
Professor X, yes. It's not Dr. Xavier.
Well, it's Professor Xavier. Yeah.
Professor Xavier, yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I've never been called that.
What?
I've never been called that.
Called
Professor
what?
X.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you haven't ran with that. It's unbelievable. So it was a great episode. What'd you think?
That was great. I love those guys. They go really hard on Twitter. If you don't follow them on Twitter, that's their main spot.
You're missing out.
Yeah, they go hard.
Johnny, thoughts?
Well, I've already shared. I think they're fantastic dudes. I would love to. I'll try to get down there because I would like to meet them in person and hang out.
Johnny just wants to go around and see how many groupies he has.
No.
Johnny's like, no, dude, I'm with a fake girlfriend right now.
Yeah.
My fake girlfriend would appreciate it.
Wait up. You've met her. Do you think he just
No,
pays?
dude,
I know. I'm
it's a
kidding.
running
Yeah.
bit. It's a
Johnny
bit.
wants a
Actually, this
running-
is why we can't have running bits because she explains him. Come on, X Professor X.
All right. Yeah, that's why.
Come on, Professor X. X is for broken. Don't listen to. That's what his X stands for. Don't listen to this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just did DMT and XG and Molly at a Moloch festival.
Professor Extremely Retarded.
Yeah,
There we go.
Extremely retarded.
What is the X for? Extremely retarded. That's what it is. Dude, yeah, bro. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, those guys are great. And they're articulate and they're great at what they do. And Daddy creates monsters. I mean, dude, go through all the comics I made. That I did make, obviously. They worked very hard.
I love it when you say
Let's admit it. It's Joe Rogan made, okay? But I put them on their path.
Yeah.
Same thing with a lot of these podcasts. They get started because they love Daddy's
You're
show.
the Harvey Weinstein of comedy.
These
What are you
live
saying? They have
shows.
an egg-shaped dick? Is that what you just said, Johnny?
There's a lot of implication there. Yeah, big time, Sam.
Johnny, I don't like you. You're now fourth seat after Mark.
Oh, Mark just got a hard on.
We couldn't have Mark in the studio. He's too tall.
She's
Have to change all the
There's
lighting.
no room for
all the
Nephilims here?
camera setups. Yeah.
There's no Nephilim.
Yeah, well, he sent us a text. He was really sensitive to our comments about James Comey and his height. Calling him a Nephilim
he
and
was
saying he's a
sensitive
freak.
about it?
Big old freak. Big giant freak.
Well, they are
Disgusting
big
tall
old
freak.
freaks.
Yeah.
Anything over the national medium of what height is, okay?
Median.
Yeah, whatever that is.
That's a different word.
Shut up, Johnny. The point is, I'm Francis Bacon, okay? How are you questioning me? I wrote Shakespeare in another life. Shut up. All right? So, dude, anything over that, which I think is 5'8", is a freak. I'm sorry. You're a freak. The NBA is full of freaks.
You're over 5'8".
Yeah, I'm a freak.
I'm over 5'8". We're all over 5'8". No, we're not
Freaks.
freaks.
We're all freaks, Johnny. We're freaks.
Some Nephilim.
By the way, they broke down penis size. I'm right there in the middle. Thank you. Sweet.
Wait up.
Gee.
There's a new study.
Who, what, and
I was
what?
about to
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
what,
It's around
some girl you met?
5.5 to 6 inches is the medium.
And you can't make yourself believe that if you watch porn. You just can't. You're like they're all big.
Well, I mean, if you only watch the NBA, you think everyone's 6'7" and above.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
It's those guys that really go down and bring down the average. You're like, who are those guys?
Thank God for those guys. That's what I say. Thank God.
The 1 inchers?
There, but for the grace
Oh
of
my
God.
God. At what point did you realize you had that? And you're like, I cannot. Oh, dude, we're working on Telepathy? Why can't we work on bigger dicks?
Absolutely. We need a pill for that before we work
Not
on
even
any
a pill.
telepathy.
There should be some where you nip, nip, tuck, and suddenly you got a fat hog. And then we're going to find out women don't love fat hogs. It's just a
Well, dude, it's funny. I was going to talk about it on Broken Sim. I was just reading about how the Romans, because there's all the jokes about the Romans. The statues all have some tiny dicks, and they really did think. There's like this old quote from one of these old Roman guys talking about how if you follow my recommendations for life, you'll have a strong chest and a shiny breast and a small prick. It was a good thing.
Do you want a small prick? Of course, we all do. Come on down to Daddy's Tiny Dicks.
Do you think there was a negative to having a big dick back in the day?
Yeah, you were thought of as a brute, like sort of an uncivilized person.
You're wrecking people's.
It was correlated with being a dumbass.
God holes.
But my thing is, the only people that would know would the girls you're fucking. You're not walking around naked. I understand that part if you're walking around naked, but if you're
you don't think guys measure their dicks at dick measuring contests back in the day? The moment you knew you could measure something, the first thing guys do is like, I had two Hot Wheels cars length of dick.
Roman men kept their genitals and buttocks covered, so yeah, they wouldn't have seen.
We used to be a proper species. Guys, real quick. Go to samtripoli.com. Let me tell you about samtripoli.com. You don't have to worry about being gone one day. It's a decentralized website. And if you want to buy tickets to my show, it's very simple. samtripoli.com/events. On May 29th, I am in Costa Mesa. June 13th, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. Oh, June 1st is another Comedy Chaos. Who knows how much longer that show will be going. Then the next night, June 14th, Pittsburgh, PA. Then we're going to be in San Diego. And guess what? We have a special guest dropping in at the July 19th, 9:30 show. That's right. The one and only Johnny Woodard will be there.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. Yes.
Johnny Woodard's going to be doing 5 minutes on how much I suck. And then August 1st, I'm going to be or Tinfoil Hat will be in Boston. And then the next night, we're in Brockport, Connecticut, and then Kansas City, and then I think we got one more on there, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and one more after that, Oklahoma City, and then Skankfest in New Orleans. So go to samtripoli.com, grab all the dates. Listen, guys, there's so much going on samtripoli.com. All my videos, audios there. The premium content is nothing but pure fire. Putting up 3 episodes a week for a low price. You're getting the good shit. You're getting the very good shit. So go there. Then you go down. If you're looking for investments, there's no better place to go than the Cash Daddy's Patreon. Still up. It's over 1,300 subscribers. Some of them are free subscribers. But, people are joining. Check out Cash Daddy's. Howie's Homies is fire. Howie is an idiot savant, and he's picking them. Obviously, if you're investing, it's like gambling. You're going to win some. You're going to win more than you lose, but it will be there. Johnny, what do you think of it?
It's the community that really makes it too, because people are bouncing ideas off each other, bouncing ideas off Howie, getting feedback from Howie. A lot of his best ideas come from the community. The community source. So it's a good place to hang out. It's a community of
winners. Okay, that's why I call the Patreon.
Winners winning.
Winners winning. Okay, so go check that out. Patreon.com/cashdaddies. Go down. Chaos Twins. Got the new characters. Saw them. They're great. Dana, or will be called Danny. That's what the girls call her.
Oh, that's cute.
She's in it. She's the wise one. She's like, why am I so thick? I go, because this is what we're going for. So go check that.
I love that she didn't dispute the wise thing. It was just a thick thing. That's because that would be my first question.
And then, guys, we're very excited. We got a brand new affiliate. He's going to be a giant sponsor on the show. The Live Longer Formula. Check that out. Go down. Tinfoil Hat t-shirts are fire as well. Tinfoil Hat t-shirts. New ones going up all the time. The last one is the one we love, which is, yes, look at that. Look at that. The Tinfoil Hat World Order. Check that out, dude. Tinfoil Hat World Order. All your t-shirts, great way to support the show.
The one Sam has on right now is also up there as well if you want to go get that.
You can get black, you can get white, you can get everything.
Yeah.
We brought back some old ones as well, so check those out. Those are at a discount if you want them. Rife Technology. Get your energy right with Rife Technology. We love him. He got in a car accident. We wish Matt Rife a quick recovery. We love him very much. Obviously, our good friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. We love him. The man, the myth, the legend, the UFC king, okay, the Hall of Famer himself, Pat Miletich, and his Mineral King, Aqua Cure, hydrogen brown gas. Get that hydrogen, dude. They deplete our atmosphere of it. Get it. Our good friends, I see him all the time in the chats on Doom Scrolling. Harley Ray with the best website you'll ever see. If you need candles, crystals, sage, no better place to go. Obviously, you know, we love Tim James and his chemical-free body. I take it every day. I took it on the show. You saw me take it. I'm going to have the next guest on one of our upcoming shows. Joel Staley's got a workout for you guys. He'll knock it out of the park. Get rid of that dirty electricity. I think if I have one complaint about where I live, it's right next to high wires, and I think it's affecting us. Dirty electricity is not good. So go check out EMF Rocks, Prometheus if you love my website. And you know, normally, obviously, we know when Xavier's on some kind of drugs, he's crushing it even harder. Usually, he's on Brain Supreme, and he's top shelf greatness. They're doing great, so check them out. Nuke Social, Telegram, you name it, all there. Could you go down a little bit? Okay? Keep going down. Keep going down. All my audio's there. We're going to put Doom Scrolling up very soon. And then, obviously, keep going down. Keep going down. Radios. And then audio, videos. All my specials are there. My quiet's I'm getting it. It's going to be on the website, of course. Anything else, guys? What do you think? Xavier?
Hit that like button, subscribe, and then we also have these tinfoil hats at tinfoilhats.com. Swarm hats. Go get them over there, and go check out my podcast that actually marks a spot on YouTube, please.
Check out Broken Sim. I got a t-shirt for you. This is a t-shirt I accidentally bought. Actually, we talked about it in the last Broken Sim. Just check out the back of it. Do you see? It's the Backdoor Kings. I wore that around in public. Didn't realize what was on the back of it because it came in like a blind draw kind of thing. You know, mystery box, as you like to say.
I think I would wear this.
Yeah, actually. I think you would too. That's the first thing we thought.
Yeah, we don't smoke the same. That'll be your jersey soon. So,
shout out Brooklyn Projects.
Yeah, and real quick, so we have a fan who's been wonderful in uploading the episodes. Unfortunately, his life he's a busy man doing busy stuff, so he hasn't been able to put up every episode. So we're going to now be doing a YouTube channel that will be coming out hopefully sooner than later. We'll let you know, and you'll be able to go subscribe there. It will be a YouTube version of Tinfoil Hat, but you guys love that platform. We're on Rumble, we're on Twitter, we're on Rockfin, we're on BitChute, we're on everything. But that's where you guys want to see it. You're going to be able to get it. And we will have to play ball with YouTube, and you'll see what we mean by that. And all right, man, enjoy these highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim. Did you see Elon Musk, what he had to say about Bill Gates? Did you see this?
No, I mean, Bill Gates' brand is dead, and they're going to throw him under the bus.
Well, yeah, they're already starting. He was at this economic forum in Qatar. And
Qatar? I always thought it was guitar.
Guitar.
Now it's gutter.
Gutter? Yeah, it's gutter. Here he is. Check this out.
I do want to ask about US aid and the comments that Bill Gates made the other day, and I know that you called him.
Yeah, he's a huge liar.
I know you've said that already. I wondered.
Please write new material.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well, he said
winning
he
the room,
those, and he spent a lot of his own money on philanthropy around the world over the years. My question to you is:
how's that work?
Have you looked at the data to check if he might be right that the cuts to USAID might cost millions of lives?
Yes. I'd like him to show us any evidence whatsoever that is.
Hold on, real quick, Johnny.
Thought that was hilarious.
Real quick. So Joe Rogan, friend of show,
heard of
my
him.
friend.
Heard of him.
Just did a whole thing on how many deaths they think were attributed to the Herrscher.
Yeah.
Right, and if we go by that lady's video, which everyone's like, she's been debunked. If you ever say anything that is not in line with the narrative, they will always say it's debunked all the time, right, Johnny? Like, how many times you told me about Anne Frank's diary wasn't real and what they said? You can't stop talking about it. You're always like, dude, ballpoint pens were introduced to the masses until 51, right? How about that guy that sued him? I'm like, Johnny, stop talking about it. Okay, we get it. You're passionate for the truth.
How dare you?
Right? Huh?
How dare you?
How dare you, Johnny? Johnny, I wrote down the name of the guy you kept bringing up all the time, that you can't stop talking about him. I'm like, Johnny, let it go. And you're like, but you guys, the truth. And I'm like, Johnny, Mayor Levine, you bring him up all the time. I can't. You correct me. I thought it was Mayor, and you're like, no, it's Mayor Levine. I'm like, thank you, Johnny. And how he sued Anne Frank's dad for money for writing it.
Well, how are you? What are we talking about here?
What we're talking about, your passion. That's what we're talking about, Johnny. How passionate you are for the truth.
Go ahead and get the show demonetized. Let's do it. Go ahead.
Why, Johnny? Why is that demonetized?
Talking about Anne Frank not being real.
Well, I support her story. You're the one who's passionate.
Go ahead and tell me what I'm passionate about other than dicks. Go ahead.
But we're moving on, Johnny. The point is, if you ever go against the official narrative, they will tell you it's debunked. They'll tell you this. They'll tell you that. And that's all they got. Good point, Johnny.
Thank you. We have more information on this. It turns out that ship that collided with the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, my God.
Have you heard? It was a Mexican Navy vessel on a training mission.
Imagine being the guy at the top.
Oh God! It's terrible. How shitty is the Mexican Navy?
Why do I think that whole boat is made of pure cocaine?
But how shitty is their Navy that they're still using boats with sails?
Why isn't anyone jumping?
The Mexican Navy. I have
look
concerns.
at these guys. Why are they still there?
Yeah, there are people all on the sail, on the mast,
jump,
or whatever those things are called.
Jump.
And they're just taking it in the face. Look at them.
Oh,
everybody's filming it from the shore.
Nobody's stopping to help.
But what is a Mexican naval training vessel doing in New York? I have so many questions about
Mexican naval idea sounds like an Asian porn star to me. It's just we don't see them. The
Mexican
guys
naval.
Yeah. Have you ever heard about Mexico having a navy?
You could have an any or an Audi or a Mexican naval. Any of those is possible.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of that stuff. It's super tragic because that's a beautiful boat.
Mexican naval is when you can't see your belly button for hair, is what it is. It's just
so I have a Mexican naval? Dude, if I was that guy, I would have jumped on the bridge. I would have done okay, time this shit. I can't go. I'm going to have to jump on this bridge as I get close enough.
What else can you do, dude?
You gotta go Mexican Bond on that one, dog.
And they're the Mexican Navy is pointing fingers at the United States.
Johnny, will you look up how many gold medals Mexico has won in the Olympics?
Mexico's Navy chief has said that the pilot manning its training ship, which crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge on Saturday night, was under the control of New York authorities. So I guess they're blaming them for just, plow into this fucking bridge. Like, what? How is that possible? Okay, how many gold medal? What? All the Olympics or summer or what?
Any Olympics. They're not doing anything in the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, that's a good point. They have 13
gold medals. Are any of them in track and field?
Okay, Mexico's won a total of 13 gold medals. They've also won 24 silver and 37 bronze.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, subscribe to Broken Simulation in your podcasting app or check us out at youtube.com/Sam Tripoli.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind. Tinfoil hat.